The divine sword is invincible. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 501, Huanquan Divine Art. Emperor Yunshan's son. Yang Xiaoshan stared at the young man in the lead with cold eyes. He was holding back a fire in his heart at the moment. Since he met Emperor Yunshan's son here, it was just right. They would collect some interest first. Emperor Yunshan had a supreme status in all the countries overseas. The masters of the Kingdom of Stars were furious when they heard that the young man in front of them dared to call their Emperor of God by his name. How dare you? You dare to call your majesty by his name? The son of Emperor Yunshan was also furious. However, just as he was about to speak, Yang Xiaoshan's cold voice rang out, "Kill." Suddenly, the dark dragon and the heart-connecting demon ape suddenly jumped up. The dark dragon punched out, darkness descended, and the giant dragon roared. The heart-connecting demon ape's 10,000 feet long black crystal iron chain turned into two life-seeking streams of light, instantly piercing through the masters of the Kingdom of Stars one after another. Deng Feng and the other 5 also attacked at the same time. The masters of the Kingdom of Stars were blown apart. Although these masters of the Kingdom of Stars were not weak, they were only at the first or second level of the Divine Spirit. The strongest was only at the 4th or 5th level of the Divine Spirit. How could they resist the attack of the Dark Dragon and the heart-connecting demon ape? In an instant, most of the masters of the Kingdom of Stars were killed. The remaining masters of the Kingdom of Stars woke up, roared, and attacked one after another. "Your Highness, please leave." One of the masters of the Kingdom of Stars was furious and wanted to take Di Yunshan's son away. However, as soon as they flew up, they were slapped down by the Dark Dragon and directly imprinted into the ground. Di Yunshan's son was slapped and exploded. He turned into a ball of meat. "Your Highness." The faces of the masters of the Kingdom of Stars changed horribly. "Who are you? You dare to kill His Highness? You can't escape. You will be exterminated." The masters of the Kingdom of Stars roared with bloodshot eyes. What responded to them was the murderous intent and destructive power of the Dark Dragon and the heart-connecting demon ape. Screams came one after another. In the end, more than 100 masters of the Kingdom of Stars were all killed, and none of them escaped. Yang Xiaoshan and Dan Lan quickly dealt with the bodies of the masters of the Kingdom of Stars. After dealing with Di Yunshan's son, Yang Xiaoshan and his men did not stay, and continued to go to the treasure location of the Yellow Spring Demon Sect. The disappearance of Di Yunshan's son would definitely alarm the masters of the Kingdom of Stars. The army of the Kingdom of Stars would soon surge in, so they had to find the Yellow Spring Demon Sect treasure as soon as possible. After a while, Yang Xiaoshan and his men arrived at the location of the Yellow Spring Demon Sect treasure. According to the treasure display, this is the entrance and exit. Deng Feng took out the treasure map and pointed to the cave in front and said, "In the cave in front, the devil's energy was rolling, and there were at least dozens of powerful auras in it. Obviously, this is a devil's lair. Kill him," Yang Xiaoshan said coldly. And Long, Tonks and Demon Ape, Deng Feng and others flashed and flew in instantly. Suddenly, there was a loud bang. When Yang Xiaoshan went in, he saw dozens of demon corpses lying on the ground. These demons were full of demonic energy and had fangs in their mouths. They were very similar to the corpse ghosts in the Huanquan Demon Gate ruins. They were probably monsters formed by the corpse key of the Huanquan Demon Gate. Yang Xiaoshan and his companions flew along the cave. The deeper they flew, the stronger the demonic energy and ghost energy became, and there was also corpse key in the demonic energy and ghost energy. Fortunately, Yang Xiaoshan had the 1000 Buddha's divine fire to suppress them, and they arrived at the deepest part of the cave without any danger. At the end of the deepest part of the cave, there was a huge bone door. This bone door was almost exactly the same as the bone door of the Huanquan Patriarch's cave, and it was obviously cast by the corpse beast of the corpse river. The bone door was filled with amazing death energy, which was as strong as the death energy of the Huanquan Patriarch's cave. Yang Xiaoshan asked Ding Yi to protect himself, and came to the bone door, activated the power of the eternal divine body, and printed his palms on the bone door. Under the power of time, the bone gate was assimilated little by little. However, the speed was still too slow, so Yang Xiaoshan used all his strength to stimulate the power of time and speed up. The army of the Kingdom of Stars will arrive soon, so he has to hurry, hurry, and hurry. Finally, a huge hole was assimilated in the bone gate of the treasure house. Yang Xiaoshan and his men entered without saying a word. As soon as they entered, they were overjoyed to see the scene in front of them. They saw endless spiritual stones, spiritual medicines, mineral materials, and magical weapons. The Poison Dragon Palace treasury is big enough, but compared with the treasure of the Yellow Spring Demon Gate in front of them, it is still a small witch compared to the big witch. The Yellow Spring Demon Gate is worthy of being the first demon gate in the Kangshen continent back then. Its treasures are amazing, far exceeding the Poison Dragon Palace treasury. Yang Xiaoshan asked Dark Dragon, Tonks and Demon Ape, Dengfeng and others, to move all the treasures, while he flew to the depths of the treasure. He traveled hundreds of thousands of miles to search for the Yellow Spring treasures overseas for the Heavenly Fade Stone and the Yellow Spring Divine Art. He was not interested in those spiritual stones, spiritual flowers, mineral materials, and magical weapons. Just when Yang Xiaoshan and others began to move the Yellow Spring Demon Sect's treasures, Emperor Yunshan's son lost contact, which finally aroused the suspicion of the Masters of the Star Kingdom. What, Your Highness, the Crown Prince and his team lost contact half a day ago? Bidao Star God Lanjin was surprised. Yes, Your Highness, the Crown Prince and his team entered the Devil Island. It seems that they found the glazed divine grass. The Masters of the Star Kingdom quickly replied, it's just that half a day ago, Your Highness, the Crown Prince and his team lost contact. Devil Island? Lanjin was puzzled. Although the Devil Island was dangerous, it should not be dangerous with the strength of His Highness the Crown Prince and his team. The more he thought about it, the more he felt something was wrong. Dispatch the army to besiege the Devil Island, Lanjin immediately ordered, and at the same time, he and the other 3 star gods flew to the Devil Island at a high speed. Under Lanjin's order, the billions of troops of the Star Kingdom continued to surge like a tide. Yang Xiaoshan finally came to the deepest part of the Huangquan treasure. After arriving at the deepest part of the Huangquan treasure, he sensed the power of the Destiny Stone. Yang Xiaoshan was surprised and flew forward. Sure enough, somewhere in the deepest part of the treasure, he saw the Destiny Stone. And there were quite a few, more than 20. Yang Xiaoshan was delighted, and put away all the more than 20 Destiny Stones. Not far from the Destiny Stone, Yang Xiaoshan found a bone ring. This bone ring was also made of the bones of the corpse beasts in the corpse river. And the death aura was stronger than that of the bone sect. Huangquan ring. He has read a lot of notes from the Huangquan Patriarch these days. So, when he saw this bone ring, Yang Xiaoshan immediately recognized that this bone ring was the Huangquan ring, the treasure inherited by the Huangquan demon sect. This Huangquan ring was cast by the Huangquan Patriarch using the hard skulls of the corpse beasts. Yang Xiaoshan took the Huangquan ring in his hand and tried to use the Huangquan Patriarch's secret method to open the restrictions inside. Unexpectedly, it opened quickly. When it was opened, he saw an ancient secret book Huangquan magic skill inside the Huangquan ring. Yang Xiaoshan was stunned for a moment, then overjoyed that Huangquan magic skill was actually inside the Huangquan ring. Chapter 502 Go to the Star Island. Huangquan magic skill was finally found. After searching everywhere for something, it was easy to find. With Huangquan magic skill, he could refine the eternal heavenly coffin. He could subdue the Huangquan Ghost King. At this time, he found a strange jade bottle in Huangquan ring. The jade bottle was strange in shape and was made to look like a skull. Yang Xiaoshan felt strange, took out the skull jade bottle, and then opened the bottle cap. When Yang Xiaoshan opened the bottle cap, thunder rose and evolved into various strange phenomena. Yang Xiaoshan looked at the contents of the jade bottle and was stunned. 9-layer heaven tribulation thunder water. I saw that this skull-like jade bottle contained the 9-layer heaven tribulation thunder water that he had been looking for. And it was not 1 or 2 mouthfuls, nor 10 or 8 mouthfuls, but more than 100 mouthfuls. Yang Xiaoshan estimated that there were more than 100 mouthfuls of 9-layer heaven tribulation thunder water in this jade bottle. What is the concept of more than 100 mouthfuls? With more than 100 mouthfuls, he could kill any one of Emperor Yunshan, the ancient heart demon, and the undefeated Hades. No matter how many top grade spiritual stones and spiritual medicines he had, Yang Xiaoshan did not feel rich. But at this moment, looking at these more than 100 mouthfuls of 9-layer heaven tribulation thunder water, Yang Xiaoshan felt like he had become rich overnight. A dozen days ago, after a fierce bombardment by Lord Ding, Yang Xiaoshan only had 2 mouthfuls of 9-layer heaven tribulation thunder water left on his body, which made Yang Xiaoshan feel like a pauper. Therefore, even in the face of the relentless pursuit of the 4 blue and gold star gods, Yang Xiaoshan was reluctant to use up the 2 mouthfuls of 9-layer heaven tribulation thunder water. Now, what's there to fear? Let the 4 blue and gold star gods chase him again. Yang Xiaoshan could not suppress his excitement. He carefully put away more than 100 mouthfuls of 9-layer heaven tribulation thunder water. With the efforts of Yang Xiaoshan and his men, the treasure of the Yellow Spring Demon sect was finally emptied, without even a stone left. Let's leave first, Yang Xiaoshan said to An Long and the others, and then they quickly returned along the original route. After leaving the cave, they came to the ground of Devil Island. Young master, shall we go back to Kangshen continent now? An Long asked. No hurry. Yang Xiaoshan looked in a certain direction, which was the direction of the Kingdom of Stars. Let's go to the Kingdom of Stars. Go to the Kingdom of Stars? An Long, Moyuan and the others were all shocked. As for Di Yunshan, they didn't have time to hide, but the young master actually wanted to go to the Kingdom of Stars. Yes, go to the Kingdom of Stars. Yang Xiaoshan confirmed. Before leaving the Boundless Sea, he planned to attack the Kingdom of Stars directly. Give the Kingdom of Stars a fierce blow. Afterwards, Yang Xiaoshan and the others drove the Abyss spaceship to leave Devil Island, and then headed to the Island of Stars. The Kingdom of Stars is on the Island of Stars. Not long after Yang Xiaoshan left, the 4 blue and gold star gods led the millions of troops of the Kingdom of Stars to the Devil Island. After entering the Devil Island, the army of the Kingdom of Stars launched a carpet search. Finally, Lang Jin came to the place where the masters of the Kingdom of Stars were killed. Although Yang Xiaoshan and An Lang dealt with the bodies in the scene, the destructive power of the fight was still obvious. Lang Jin looked at everything burning in front of him with a gloomy face. Sir, we have searched every corner of Devil Island, but we haven't found His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. Half a day later, the generals of the army came to report to Lang Jin. However, their crown prince clearly entered Devil Island, but now he can't be found. What does it mean? The answer is self-evident. Lang Jin clenched his fists, his eyes full of murderous intent. Investigate. Pull out the other party. Destroy all his clans. Let them live a life worse than death. The Southern Dipper Star God said in a deep voice. In the Boundless Sea, no one in the 100,000 great countries should dare to kill His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. The Northern Dipper Star God Lang Jin heard what the Southern Dipper Star God meant, and his eyes shot out a terrifying cold light. If it is really Yang Xiaoshan who did it, my 100,000 overseas great countries will make the Kangshen continent a river of blood. Let the millions of troops of the Kangshen mansion be buried with our Crown Prince. Lang Jin's words resounded throughout the Devil Island. Afterwards, the army of the Kingdom of Stars blocked the sea area and frantically searched for Yang Xiaoshan's whereabouts. Yang Xiaoshan drove the Abyss spaceship to approach the Island of Stars. In order to avoid the army of the Kingdom of Stars, he drove the Abyss spaceship to fly thousands of feet below the seabed. Although there are many powerful sea beasts living thousands of feet below the seabed, Yang Xiaoshan released the breath of the deep sea demon Kun from the spaceship, and these deep sea monsters were so scared that they dared not take action. As the Abyss spaceship approached the Star God Island, Yang Xiaoshan took out the Yellow Spring Divine Art and read it carefully. After reading it from beginning to end, Yang Xiaoshan frowned. In order to refine the Eternal Heaven Coffin, he had to practice the Yellow Spring Divine Art to at least the 10th level. If he wanted to quickly master the Yellow Spring Divine Art, he could only enter the Corpse River in the Yellow Spring Demon Sect's ruins to practice. With the help of the Yellow Spring Corpse Key in the Corpse River, he could quickly improve the Yellow Spring Divine Art. However, even with the help of the Yellow Spring Corpse Key in the Corpse River, it would take decades to practice the Yellow Spring Divine Art to the 10th level. This was for people with excellent talent. It would take decades. For a genius with ordinary talent, it would take thousands or even tens of thousands of years. Just when Yang Xiaoshan was at a loss, he suddenly thought of the dozen or so death god fruits he had obtained from the cave of the Yellow Spring Patriarch. The death god fruit was a treasure of the demon sect, and it should help him quickly improve the realm of the Yellow Spring divine art. Yang Xiaoshan immediately took out a death god fruit. Before, he couldn't refine the death fruit, but now he has the Yellow Spring divine art, so it's not difficult to refine it. So, Yang Xiaoshan swallowed another death fruit, and then began to practice the Yellow Spring divine art. Suddenly, the death power in the death fruit surged and poured into Yang Xiaoshan's meridians, constantly transforming into the Yellow Spring true essence. Yang Xiaoshan's body was full of Yellow Spring Qi, and from a distance, Yang Xiaoshan seemed like the god of death from hell. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 days passed. Yang Xiaoshan finally completely refined the death fruit. He exhaled a breath of turbid air. What made him overjoyed was that with the help of this death fruit, he successfully practiced the Yellow Spring divine art to the first level. Not only that, with the help of the magical medicine power of the death fruit, he successfully broke through to the third level of the Emperor realm, and was close to the peak of the early third level of the Emperor realm. The effect of the death fruit was beyond Yang Xiaoshan's expectation. Young master, we have arrived at the Starry Island. At this time, the voice of the Dark Dragon sounded. We have arrived at the Starry Island. Yang Xiaoshan hurried out of the secret room. Through the heavy sea water, he saw the floating island of stars in front of him, which looked like a continent. Wait for me here, Yang Xiaoshan said to Anlong and the others. Young master, we. Anlong was about to speak, but Yang Xiaoshan shook his head and said, it's okay. Just wait for me here. I will be back within 10 days. After that, he used absolute concealment and flew to the island of stars. I saw huge meteorites floating in the sky above the island of stars. These meteorites have been specially modified, and they dropped heavy starlight, covering the entire island of stars. On the island of stars, countless sects and powerful families came in an endless stream. Spirit beasts and spaceships filled the sky, a prosperous scene. Yang Xiaoshan asked Ding Yi to block his breath, and flew to the capital of the Kingdom of Stars. Chapter 503 Sands of Time. The capital of the Kingdom of Stars is in the central area of the God Island. The capital is huge, several times larger than the capital of the 10,000 gods. From a distance, there are a lot of cars and ships in the capital, and there are countless spaceships like stars in the sky. Before getting close, Yang Xiaoshan felt the extremely rich spiritual energy of heaven and earth coming from the capital. The capitals of the various countries in the Kangshen continent have been continuously transformed, and the spiritual energy is rich, which is very suitable for warriors to live and practice. However, Yang Xiaoshan has never seen such a rich spiritual energy in any capital. The capital of the Kingdom of Stars has such a rich spiritual energy that it can be compared to the Kangshen Academy. Yang Xiaoshan was very surprised. The capital of the Kingdom of Stars is thousands of times larger than the Kangshen Academy, but the spiritual energy is still so rich. It can be seen that a vast amount of spiritual stones were used to transform it, and they are at least of the best quality. Even a large number of top quality spiritual stones. The Kingdom of Stars is so rich. Isn't it said that overseas resources are scarce? Yang Xiaoshan came to the sky above the capital in doubt. The sky above the divine capital was covered with restrictions, but with Master Ding, Yang Xiaoshan easily passed through the restrictions above the divine capital, and then flew all the way to the divine palace. The divine palace was equivalent to the imperial palace. The palaces of the star divine palace were scattered in an orderly manner, like the stars in the sky, faintly forming an extremely large star map array. Inside the divine palace, divine light occasionally disappeared, which was obviously the divine light emitted by divine objects. There were countless divine objects in the star divine palace. Yang Xiaoshan flew to the depths of the divine palace. Inside the divine palace, there were many defenses and countless guards, almost one team every 100 steps, and one battalion every 100 meters. The entire divine palace was brightly lit and stolid. Almost every hall was guarded by a powerful person in the divine realm. The breath of these powerful people in the divine realm was connected with the power of the entire divine palace. Once someone touched the restrictions of the divine palace, they would be attacked to destroy the world. Such a divine palace was more tightly guarded and much more powerful than the Kang divine mansion. However, Yang Xiaoshan did not sense the aura of Emperor Yunshan and the 4 blue and gold gods. In the palace, there are more than a dozen very powerful auras, second only to the 4 blue and gold star gods, comparable to the Dark Dragon. Yang Xiaoshan searched the treasure house of the Star Palace, but the palace was too big. After searching for nearly an hour, Yang Xiaoshan basically determined that the palace treasure house was in a certain area deep inside. Even so, it could only be determined in a certain area. Yang Xiaoshan could only continue searching. After nearly 2 hours, he found the entrance and exit of the palace treasure house. There was a being comparable to the Dark Dragon guarding the entrance and exit of the palace treasure house. Yang Xiaoshan passed by it silently, and then passed through a passage several thousand meters long, and came to the door of the underground treasure house. The door of the underground treasure house was actually made of innate refined iron, and it was the hardest kind. As for the lock of the door, it was made of innate divine iron. At the beginning, Yang Xiaoshan used the innate divine iron to repair the Kangshan sword, and the lock made of innate divine iron in front of him was much larger than the divine iron he had obtained before. Yang Xiaoshan placed his palms on the gate, activated the eternal divine body, and tried to assimilate the gate with the power of time. With the power of his eternal divine body, he could not assimilate the innate divine iron, but assimilating the innate refined iron should be no problem. Sure enough, under the power of time, the innate refined iron of the gate was assimilated piece by piece. However, for fear of alarming the old ancestor outside, Yang Xiaoshan was careful not to make any noise when he activated it. Finally, the gate was assimilated into a big hole, and Yang Xiaoshan flashed in. As soon as he entered, the surging sea of spiritual energy almost blasted Yang Xiaoshan away. The spiritual energy of the God Palace treasury is so strong that it even exceeds the spiritual energy of the Huangquan Demon Gate treasury. Yang Xiaoshan looked over and saw mountains of spiritual stones lined up to the end of the sky, and all of them were high quality spiritual stones and top quality spiritual stones. The number of top quality spiritual stones here is probably as high as millions. How could the treasure house of the Star God Palace have so many top quality spiritual stones? At the beginning, there were only a few thousand top grade spirit stones in the treasure house of the Ghost Cave of the Underworld. Even the treasure house of the Yellow Spring Demon Gate did not have so many top grade spirit stones, only 100,000. But in front of him, there were millions. Yang Xiaoshan even sensed the aura of the Holy Spirit at the end of the Spirit Stone Mountain. The aura of the Holy Spirit. Then there must be Holy Spirit stones. There were no Holy Spirit stones in the treasure house of the Yellow Spring Demon Gate, but there were some here. Yang Xiaoshan was surprised and followed the aura of the Holy Spirit to the Holy Spirit stones. He saw that the Holy Spirit stones were piled there, as high as a person, and there were hundreds of them. At that moment, Yang Xiaoshan took away all the hundreds of Holy Spirit stones. With these hundreds of Holy Spirit stones, the speed of his Abyss spaceship would increase again. Even if he used one a day, it would be enough for him for a year. Afterwards, Yang Xiaoshan began to move the top grade spirit stones, moving all the millions of top grade spirit stones away. As for the top grade spirit stones, he did not move them. He had no shortage of top grade spirit stones, so he moved other natural treasures first. But there were too many treasures. Even if Yang Xiaoshan asked Master Ding to help, he was still busy. Yang Xiaoshan didn't know whether he could become the first sword god in the world of martial spirits within 10 years, but he felt that if he continued to move treasures like this, he would definitely become the richest man in the world of martial spirits within 10 years. In this treasure house, Yang Xiaoshan even saw the heavenly tribulation thunder water, but unfortunately, they were all of the first and second layers. Of course, he didn't have too many treasures like heavenly tribulation thunder water. He didn't need them, and could give them to his subordinates. So Yang Xiaoshan moved them all away. The ancestor who was guarding outside should come in, to check every once in a while, so he had to try his best to move as many treasures as possible before the other party noticed. Finally, Yang Xiaoshan came to the depths of the treasure house. A group of golden sand grains were suspended in the air above the depths of the treasure house, which attracted Yang Xiaoshan's attention. This group of sand grains seemed to have life, circling in the air, constantly flowing, like a stream. Yang Xiaoshan even felt the power of time on these sand grains. This is the sand of time from the river of time, Uncle Ding said excitedly. Sand of time from the river of time. Yang Xiaoshan was shocked. Legend has it that there is a river of time between heaven and earth. The river of time contains countless treasures with the power of time, one of which is the sand of time. What is in front of him is actually the sand of time. Emperor Yunshan must have obtained an incredible treasure, otherwise, it would be impossible to have so many holy spiritual stones, and even the sand of time. The sand of time is difficult to control, and it is also difficult to refine and refine. Uncle Ding said excitedly, but you have the eternal divine body, so you can control and refine the sand of time. These sands of time can enhance the power of your eternal divine body. Now, Yang Xiaoshan's eternal divine body is only in its infancy, not even in the small success stage. If he can reach the small success stage, the power will definitely increase greatly. Chapter 504. Destroy the Star Palace. Yang Xiaoshan came to the sand of time. As if sensing the power of the eternal body on Yang Xiaoshan, the sand of time entangled and swam around Yang Xiaoshan's body like a happy fish. Yang Xiaoshan reached out to touch the sand of time, but the sand of time all slipped away from Yang Xiaoshan's fingers, and Yang Xiaoshan couldn't touch the sand of time at all. Ordinary warriors can't touch the sand of time at all. Uncle Ding said, unless you use a time artifact to take it away, but you have the eternal body, you can use the time power of the eternal body to control it. Yang Xiaoshan urged the power of the eternal body, and the light of time on his body surged. He took a palm, and a force of time enveloped one of the sand of time. This time, the sand of time didn't slip away again. Yang Xiaoshan quickly took away the sand of time. Then, he did the same thing, constantly using the power of the eternal body to take away the sand of time. Finally, all the sand of time was taken away, not a single grain was left. Yang Xiaoshan then continued to fly deeper into the treasure house. In the distance, there was a large pile of mineral materials that released starlight. It was the star god An. Princess Wanning went into the sea of stars to find the star god An. The star god An in front of her was more than 100 times larger than what she had found. Yang Xiaoshan went forward and lifted it, but it was extremely heavy. He circulated his true energy and then lifted the star god An. At this moment, suddenly, Yang Xiaoshan sensed several powerful auras flying towards the treasury. Pengzu, let's come and get 2 holy spiritual stones. This is a handwritten order. A voice came from the entrance outside the treasury. Okay, you go in. Here is the key. Yang Xiaoshan heard it and quickly threw the star god An into the medicine cauldron, and then took the opportunity to move away several kinds of natural treasures with all his strength, and then flew to the door of the treasury in stealth. However, before he returned to the treasury gate, the masters of the kingdom of stars arrived. They looked at the big hole in the treasury gate and were stunned for a moment. Then their faces changed drastically and they screamed, Pengzu. The old ancestor who was guarding outside heard the scream and rushed in from outside in an instant. When he arrived at the treasury and saw the big hole in the treasury gate, his face turned pale. This, how could it be? He had been guarding outside. It was impossible for someone to come in. Suddenly, he reacted and roared, the treasury of the divine palace has been stolen. Seal off the entire divine palace and the divine capital. Search for me. The voice came out. The divine palace was shaken. What? The treasury of the divine palace has been stolen. Looking for death. Who is so bold? With Pengzu guarding, how did the other party enter the treasury? One by one, the old ancestors and ancient ancestors with powerful auras soared into the sky and rushed to the treasury in anger. The entire divine palace and the divine capital's formations were shining brightly. When those old ancestors and ancient ancestors came to the front of the treasury gate, everyone looked at the gate and the entrance to the treasury, and they were all shocked and angry. What kind of power is this that can destroy the innate refined iron? The other party must not have left. Maybe he is still in the treasury. Go into the treasury and search it. Also, search every inch of the space in the divine palace and the divine capital. At this moment, powerful ancestors and ancient ancestors rushed into the treasury and issued one order after another. The treasury of the divine palace was stolen, which was unprecedented. Check. What is missing? Pengzu roared, and at the same time, his heart was trembling. He was guarding the treasury. If the important treasures were missing, the divine emperor would be furious, and he would be guilty of 100 deaths. Now, he could only pray that those important treasures were not lost. Just as he was praying, he heard an ancestor trembling. The best spiritual stones and holy spiritual stones are all gone. Pengzu, who had just rushed into the door of the treasury, felt dizzy. Then another ancestor trembled and shouted, "The heavenly thunder water, all the heavenly thunder water is gone." Pengzu was on the verge of collapse. Sand of time, where is the sand of time? When an old ancestor shouted in shock, Pengzu completely fainted. Search all corners of the treasury. The old ancestors and ancient ancestors of the Star Palace were extremely angry, and they searched every corner of the treasury like crazy beasts. No one. No one. Still no one. Yang Ocean flew past these old ancestors and ancient ancestors carefully. However, when he came to the door of the treasury, he saw that the door of the treasury was blocked. He saw several powerful ancient ancestors guarding the big hole of the door. Yang Ocean had no space to fly out. Seeing this, Yang Ocean could only stop and wait at ease. After a while, finally, an ancient ancestor wanted to go out, and Yang Ocean followed closely behind him and left the treasury. After passing through many restrictions, Yang Ocean came to the sky above the treasury. Looking at the powerful people of the Star Palace who were searching every corner with all their strength below, Yang Ocean said, "Uncle Ding, come on." Suddenly, Uncle Ding flew into the sky and instantly grew 1,000,000,000 times larger. At this moment, the Palace of Stars fell into endless darkness. Millions of powerful men in the Palace of Stars looked up in shock and saw a super large golden tripod falling from the sky. With their faces changed drastically, the millions of powerful men in the Palace of Stars almost did not think about it and blasted out with all their strength. Boom. A loud noise that shook the sky. In the treasury, when Pengzu and others were still angry about the theft of the treasury, suddenly, they heard a loud noise that shook the sky. Then, the destructive force, like endless ripples, blasted to every corner of the Palace of Stars and the treasury of the Palace of Stars. Pengzu and others changed their faces and rushed out frantically. When they just rushed out, they saw the destructive airwaves coming. Pengzu and others attacked frantically, but they were all blown away. The treasury palace collapsed in an instant. Boom. Then, the Palace of Stars seemed to have suffered a devastating blow, and the entire city was violently shaken. When Pengzu and the others crawled out from the depths of the ground, they saw that the entire palace had disappeared, replaced by a huge deep pit. Countless palaces, all turned into dust, countless guards dead or injured. They looked up and saw a pale blue figure standing in the air and a huge golden tripod that supported the sky. Yang Ocean's eyes were cold. The tripod rose into the sky again and fell down with a bang. Pengzu and the others were terrified and tried their best to attack, but then their eyes went dark and they lost consciousness. Yang Ocean broke through the air and left. Not long after Yang Ocean left, on an island not far from the Star God Island, Di Yunshan, who was in seclusion to heal his wounds, heard the news that the Star God Palace was destroyed. Tens of millions of guards, countless ancestors, and ancient ancestors died, and he vomited a mouthful of blood. His eyes were filled with murderous intent, and he roared, "Yang Ocean, I will not be a human being if I don't kill you in this lifetime. Your Majesty, the 4 great star gods just sent back a message saying that the crown prince disappeared on Devil Island, and the murderer is most likely Yang Ocean." At this time, the ancient ancestor trembled again. Emperor Yunshan spat out another mouthful of blood. Chapter 505, Kangshen Mansion is attacked. When Emperor Yunshan was full of killing intent, Yang Ocean returned to the Abyss spaceship, joined Dark Dragon and others, and drove the spaceship away at a high speed. This time, Yang Ocean directly used the Holy Spirit Stone to drive the spaceship. The speed of the spaceship really increased. It increased several times. Under the deep sea, the Abyss spaceship plowed through the huge waves and continued to break through the waves. The speed was so fast that the deep sea was shaking. Even Dark Dragon and the Demon Ape were surprised. So fierce. The Demon Ape looked at the rolling waves around the spaceship and couldn't help but exclaimed. Yang Ocean smiled and said, "It's really fierce. The drive of the Holy Spirit Stone is indeed different. At this speed, it is estimated that only Emperor Yunshan can barely catch up. However, if there is a Divine Spirit Stone to drive the Abyss spaceship, the speed will probably reach a terrifying level." The Divine Spirit Stone is a higher level Spirit Stone than the Holy Spirit Stone. With the Holy Spirit Stone, Yang Xiaoshan and others returned to land in only about 10 days. After returning to Kangshen continent, several people felt like they had been separated from each other for a long time. Afterwards, Yang Xiaoshan found a secret place and began to swallow the Death God fruit to practice Huanquan divine art. He had to practice Huanquan divine art to the 10th level as soon as possible, refine the Eternal Heaven Coffin, and subdue the Huanquan Ghost King. Originally, Yang Xiaoshan was already in the 3rd level of the Emperor Realm and could trigger the 3rd Fate Calamity and carry the 3rd Hunyuan Destiny, but now, he decided to break through to the 4th level of the Emperor Realm and then trigger the 3rd and 4th Fate Calamities together. By then, he will carry the 3rd and 4th Hunyuan Destiny in succession. After returning to Kangshen continent, Deng Feng and the other 5 people could return to Yunfeng sect, but the 5 people said they wanted to stay with Yang Xiaoshan and serve him. Seeing this, Yang Xiaoshan let them do as they pleased. It was good for them to stay with him, as he was now in need of masters. Deng Feng and the others were the strongest ancestors of Yunfeng sect, and each of them was as powerful as Tonks and Demon Ape. When Yang Xiaoshan swallowed the Death God fruit to practice Huanquan divine art, and Long and his companions also practiced hard. During this overseas trip, they witnessed the strength of the God Emperor Di Yunshan, and they were greatly stimulated. Time passed. After swallowing 4 Death God fruits in a row, Yang Xiaoshan finally broke through to the 4th level of the Emperor Realm as expected. After consolidating the 4th level of the Emperor Realm, Yang Xiaoshan urged the Sea of God True Essence to bombard the 9th level of the heavenly space, bombarding the Hunyuan realm wall with all his strength. This time, Yang Xiaoshan only used 1,000 times to blast open the Hunyuan realm wall. It was much easier than the second time. When the Hunyuan realm wall was blasted open, his Sea of God True Essence stirred the Hunyuan space. The terrifying thunder clouds condensed and spread again, and the power of the terrifying robbery thunder enveloped the world, pressing in Long and his companions to breathe. This time, the Hunyuan Destiny tribulation was undoubtedly stronger and more fierce than the second time. Looking at the terrifying robbery thunder that was bombarding, Yang Xiaoshan roared, soared into the sky, and directly bombarded the terrifying robbery thunder with both fists. Boom. Yang Xiaoshan was bombarded to the ground. The ground exploded. The power of the numerous tribulation thunder spread, submerging one mountain after another. And Long and his companions stood in the distance and watched. All of them were shocked. So strong. They asked themselves, if they were in the Emperor Realm, they would definitely die when facing such a terrifying tribulation thunder of the destiny of the mixed origin. Not to mention the 10th level, they could not even resist the 1st level. But after Yang Xiaoshan was knocked down, he almost did not stop, and soared into the sky again, bombarding the 9 heavens. At this time, the 2nd level of the tribulation of the destiny of the mixed origin fell. Boom. A loud sound shook the sky. It seemed that the sky was about to explode. The clouds were blown away. Yang Xiaoshan was knocked down to the ground again. In this way, Yang Xiaoshan was knocked down again and soared into the sky again and again. This time, he did not even summon the million-year soul ring and the 15 sword hearts, and successfully survived the 3rd tribulation of the destiny of the mixed origin. When he successfully survived the 3rd tribulation of the destiny of the mixed origin, Yang Xiaoshan lay there. His whole body seemed to fall apart, but this time, it was okay. His fingers could still move. The first 2 times, he was blasted so hard that he couldn't even move his fingers. After a while, when the 3rd Hunyuan destiny of the Divine Sea World was successfully condensed, Yang Xiaoshan stood up and swallowed the next mouthful of the 6th Heavenly Tribulation Thunder Water and the 2nd Heavenly Tribulation Life Restoring Pill. A few days later, Yang Xiaoshan's injuries were completely recovered. He continued to urge the Divine Sea True Essence to blast open the Hunyuan boundary wall and trigger the 4th Hunyuan Destiny Tribulation. Seeing Yang Xiaoshan continue to soar into the sky again and again to fight against the 4th Hunyuan Destiny Tribulation Thunder, the Dark Dragons and others could not hide their shock. This time, Yang Xiaoshan summoned 2 million-year soul rings. When he successfully survived the 4th Hunyuan Destiny Tribulation, Yang Xiaoshan was blasted and lay there unable to move, and he was in so much pain that he couldn't even grin. After a long time, Yang Zai Ocean swallowed the sixth heavenly tribulation thunder water and the life restoring pill with difficulty, and his complexion gradually recovered. After digesting the heavenly tribulation thunder water and the life restoring pill, Yang Zai Ocean exhaled a breath of air. Finally, he successfully condensed 4 Hunio destinies. This feeling of being bombarded to death is really uncomfortable. Every time he thinks about it, he is still frightened. However, the more frightened he is, the more he will face it. Congratulations, young master, for carrying 4 mixed destiny. Dark Dragon, Demon Ape and others came to Yang Zai Ocean and congratulated him. They were all excited. They looked at Yang Zai Ocean with fanatical admiration. Yang Zai Ocean nodded and smiled, and asked, how are the Kangshen continent and overseas countries recently? No big event happened in Kangshen continent. The immortal death god, the ancient heart demon, and Yanping have not made any movement. However, overseas countries are still searching for the whereabouts of the young master with all their strength. Dark Dragon said respectfully. Hearing that nothing big happened in Kangshen continent, Yang Zai Ocean felt relieved. Afterwards, Yang Zai Ocean continued to swallow the death god fruit to practice, and stepped up to practice the Huanquan divine art to the 10th level. Autumn goes and winter comes. After Yang Zai Ocean practiced day and night for several months, he finally refined more than a dozen death god fruits, and Yang Zai Ocean's strength also improved to the peak of the late 6th level of the Emperor Realm. He was only one step away from breaking through the 7th level of the Emperor Realm. Yang Zai Ocean also triggered the 5th and 6th calamities of the fate of the mixed primordial world, and successfully carried 6 mixed primordial fates. At the same time, he refined more than 20 pieces of fate divine stones in the Yellow Springs treasure, once again consolidating the Sea of Gods and the world. As long as he broke through the 7th level of the Emperor Realm, he could carry the 7th mixed primordial fate. As for the Yellow Springs divine art, he has practiced to the 9th level. He is only 1 level away from the 10th level. Success is imminent. Looking at the snow flying all over the sky, Yang Zai Ocean's true essence circulated, shaking off the snowflakes on his body. Let's go back to the Imperial capital, Yang Zai Ocean said, driving the spaceship and rushing back to the once hen Imperial capital with An Lang and others. Another cold winter. Next month, it will be the new year. I don't know how my family is doing. Yang Zai Ocean is eager to go home. However, just when Yang Zai Ocean entered the 10,000 Gods Empire, shocking news suddenly came out. The immortal death god, the ancient heart demon, Yanping led many masters of the demon sect to attack the Kangshen mansion. Countless disciples of the Kangshen mansion were killed and injured. Even many elders, supreme elders, and ancestors died in the battle. Sword god Zilong and knife god Zhao Feng were also seriously injured. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 506. His Majesty is Invincible. Lord Zilong is seriously injured. Upon hearing the news, Yang Zai Ocean was extremely anxious and wanted to rush back to Kangshen Mansion. Sword god Zilong took good care of him. When he was still a disciple of Kangshen Academy, Zilong learned that he needed the waste residue of divine medicine, so he asked his disciples to send a large amount of waste residue of divine medicine to him. Yang Zai Ocean drove the Abyss spaceship with all his strength. The Abyss spaceship turned into a very fast stream of light and kept rushing towards Kangshen Mansion. However, no matter how fast the Abyss spaceship was, he still felt it was slow. I wonder how the Palace Master, Lord Kangshen and the others are doing. Yang Zai Ocean said, trying to calm himself. Palace Master, Lord Kangshen and the others should be fine. And Lang said, I hope so. Yang Zai Ocean thought to himself. Thinking of the undying death god, the ancient heart demon, and Yanping attacking Kangshen Mansion again, Yang Zai Ocean's face sank. If these 3 people were not dead, I'm afraid they would continue to attack Kangshen Mansion. However, the undying death god and Yanping were obviously seriously injured by Master Ding. How could they recover from their injuries so quickly? It seems that they also have the life tree, a treasure of heaven and earth that can restore life. One day, He will personally swat these 3 flies to death. As the Abyss spaceship flew at high speed, Kang Shenfu was finally in sight. From afar, many palaces of Kang Shenfu could still be seen. Many peaks had been destroyed, and the terrifying corpse key and demonic key remaining between heaven and earth could still be felt. Yang Xiaoshan put away the Abyss spaceship and flew quickly to Kang Shenfu with An Lang and several others. "Your Majesty is back," someone shouted. "Your Majesty is back," the disciples shouted excitedly. Yang Xiaoshan's return shook Kang Shenfu. Kang Shenfu was attacked by the immortal god of death, the ancient demon, and Yanping. Countless masters and disciples of Kang Shenfu died. Originally, all the disciples were depressed, but at this moment, seeing Yang Xiaoshan's return, all the disciples of Kang Shenfu were as excited as if they had been injected with chicken blood. Very excited. What? His Majesty is back. Even Zheng Yangjiang was excited to hear that Yang Xiaoshan had returned, and flew out happily. Even the seriously injured sword god Zilong and knife god Zhao Feng were excited to crawl out of their caves. Everyone poured out of Kangshen Mansion in a mighty manner. So, when Yang Xiaoshan returned to the mountain gate of Kangshen Mansion, he saw a dark space in front of him, filled with countless disciples, elders, and supreme elders of Kangshen Mansion. Zheng Yangjiang stood in the front. He knelt excitedly and saluted. "Greetings to His Majesty. His Majesty is invincible. Greetings to His Majesty. His Majesty is invincible." Sword god Zilong, knife god Zhao Feng and the other 4 gods bowed excitedly. "Greetings to His Majesty. His Majesty is invincible." All the ancient ancestors and old ancestors bowed excitedly. Then the supreme elders and elders bowed. In the mountains and palaces of Kangshen Mansion, countless disciples all knelt down excitedly. "Greetings, Your Majesty. Your Majesty is invincible." Yang Xiaoshan broke into the Palace of Stars alone, destroyed millions of guards of the Palace of Stars, and killed thousands of old ancestors and ancient ancestors of the Kingdom of Stars. The news had already spread throughout the Kangshen continent. Who is invincible? 3,000 emperors. Yang Shen is invincible. My new Lord of Kangshen is invincible. Your Majesty is invincible. It is for this reason that the disciples of Kangshen Mansion are so excited and fanatically worship Yang Xiaoshan after his return. Yang Xiaoshan was shocked when he saw millions of disciples of Kangshen Mansion kneeling down. He hurried forward and helped Zheng Yangjiang up. "Master of the palace, there is no need to be polite. Get up quickly." In Yang Xiaoshan's view, although he had obtained the sword of Kangshen, he had not yet merged with the heart of Kangshen, and could not be considered the real new lord of Kangshen continent. He is now just a disciple of Kangshen Mansion. Afterwards, Yang Xiaoshan helped up the sword god Zilong, the knife god Zhao Feng, and then asked all the supreme elders, ancestors, and disciples to stand up. "Your Majesty, it's good that you're back." Zheng Yangjiang stood up and said excitedly, "With you in charge of Kangshen Mansion, Kangshen Mansion is safe." Yang Xiaoshan felt ashamed when he heard this. With the excited welcome of Zheng Yangjiang and others, Yang Xiaoshan and his party entered Kangshen Mansion. "Lord Zilong, how are you injured?" Yang Xiaoshan asked the sword god Zilong and others. He could see that not only Zilong and Zhao Feng were injured, but also medicine god Li Nian and fist god Zhang Wanli were injured. "No problem." Sword god Zilong laughed and patted his chest. "Damn it, if the corpse demon dares to come, I can beat him again. This time, the corpse demon, blood demon, evil Buddha and others, their injuries are more serious than ours." Sword god Zhao Feng also laughed heartily. "Zilong is right. If they dare to come again, we will beat them hard again." Yang Xiaoshan also smiled. Then, Yang Xiaoshan saw Zheng and Qian and Wanning in the crowd, and smiled. "Senior Sister Zheng, Senior Sister Wan, Your Majesty," the 2 women said shyly. Wanning was shy. Yang Xiaoshan was not surprised, but he didn't expect Zheng and Qian, who didn't speak much, to be shy, which surprised Yang Xiaoshan. "Are the 2 sisters okay?" Yang Xiaoshan asked with concern. Along the way, Yang Xiaoshan was worried about the safety of the 2 women. Hearing Yang Xiaoshan's concern for them, the 2 women's hearts were sweeter than drinking honey, and said, "We are fine. How is Lord Kangshen now?" Yang Xiaoshan changed the subject and asked Zheng Yangjiang. Zeng Yangjiang hesitated and said, Lord Kang Xiang was besieged by the undying death god, the ancient heart demon, and Yanping, and was injured. Kang Xiang had not fully recovered from his injuries when he came back from the Death Sword Tomb last time, and he was injured again this time, and the injuries were quite serious. However, the undying death god, the ancient heart demon, and Yanping were also injured by Lord Kang Xiang. Zeng Yangjiang said, they cannot recover in a short time. At this point, Zeng Yangjiang hesitated and said, it's just that Lord Kang Shen's notes were taken away. What? Yang Xiaoshen's heart sank when he heard it. He came back this time and wanted to look through Kang Shen's notes and go to the Sea of Stars to find the Star God Tree. Now, Kang Shen's notes have been taken away. Zeng Yangjiang lowered his head and said, this time, the undead death god and his men attacked the Kangshan mansion for the body of the undefeated dark god and the notes of Lord Kangshan. Although we have protected the body of the undefeated dark god, they still snatched away Lord Kangshan's notes. Please punish me, your majesty. Zeng Yangjiang knew that Yang Xiaoshen had always wanted to look through the notes of Kangshan. So at this moment, he was a little ashamed to face Yang Xiaoshen. It's okay, the lord of the mansion doesn't have to blame himself. Yang Xiaoshen sighed in his heart and could only shake his hand and said, you have tried your best. He knew that Zeng Yangjiang could not be blamed for this. Then, he asked Zeng Yangjiang to take him to see Kang Xiang. Zeng Yangjiang dared not disobey orders and took Yang Xiaoshen into the deepest part of the forbidden area of Kangshan Mansion and knocked on the Kangshan cave. Kang Xiang was very excited when he saw Yang Xiaoshen and bowed and said, thank you, your majesty, for saving me last time. Last time in the Death Sword Tomb, if it weren't for Yang Xiaoshen, he would have died long ago. What he didn't expect was that the boy who saved him in the Death Sword Tomb last time got the Kangshan sword and became the new master of their Kangshan continent. Kang Xiang was very excited when he learned about Yang Xiaoshen from Zeng Yangjiang these days. Chapter 507, Starry Eyes Sea. It's my duty. Yang Xiaoshen said with a smile, it's just a piece of cake. Then he asked, how is your injury now? Kang Xiang said with a smile, if the immortal death god and the ancient heart demon come again, I can fight them for another 3 days and 3 nights. His tone was exactly the same as that of the sword god Zilong. Yang Xiaoshen smiled, then took out 10 mouthfuls of 6-fold heavenly tribulation thunder water and gave it to Kang Xiang. 6-fold heavenly tribulation thunder water. Zeng Yangjiang was shocked. Your majesty, this is too expensive. Kang Xiang was shocked and hurriedly refused. Yang Xiaoshen shook his head and smiled. It's not expensive. I still have a lot of 6-fold heavenly tribulation thunder water. I drink it every day. It's enough for me to drink for several years. Drinking 6-fold heavenly tribulation thunder water as water every day. Kang Xiang and Zeng Yangjiang heard this, and their eyes widened. You should recover from your injury first. Yang Xiaoshen said, if it's not enough, we'll talk later. There wasn't much 9-fold heavenly tribulation thunder water, but he still had a lot of 6-fold heavenly tribulation thunder water. Back then, in the ancient thunder god cave, he got a large pool of 6-fold heavenly tribulation thunder water, and he hadn't used up half of it in a few years. That's enough. Kang Xiang quickly shook his hand and said, then bowed and thanked. Thank you, your majesty. With these 10 mouthfuls of 6-fold heavenly tribulation thunder water, his injury would surely recover quickly. Okay, you should recover from your injury first. Yang Xiaoshen said, I'll come back in a few days. He also wanted to ask Kang Xiang something about Kang Shen's notes. Afterwards, Yang Xiaoshen left Kang Xiang's cave with Kang Xiang's respectful farewell. After leaving, Yang Xiaoshen went to visit Sword God Zilong again, and gave Sword God Zilong 6-fold heavenly tribulation thunder water. Previously, Sword God Zilong gave him the waste residue of divine medicine, and now he gave him 6-fold heavenly tribulation thunder water. Sword God Zilong was very moved when he saw the 6th heaven tribulation thunder water in Yang Xiaoshen's hand. He did not refuse it, and bowed to thank Yang Xiaoshen. Yang Xiaoshen smiled and said, take good care of yourself. After a few days, we will go to settle accounts with the immortal death god. Sword God Zilong laughed. Okay. After returning to his cave, Yang Ocean called Zheng Yangjiang and asked him to help him find out about the major divine fires, major divine swords and the Nineth Heaven Tribulation Thunderwater. Afterwards, Yang Ocean refined the sand of time in the cave to improve his eternal divine body. A few days passed. Kang Xiang had already refined the 10 mouthfuls of 6th Heaven Tribulation Thunderwater and came to Yang Ocean's cave in person. Your Majesty is going to enter the Sea of Stars to find the Star God Tree. Kang Xiang was surprised to learn that Yang Ocean was planning to enter the Sea of Stars to find the Star God Tree. Yang Ocean nodded. Yes, I heard that there is a Star God Tree in the Sea of Stars. When Lord Kangshan entered the Sea of Stars, he saw the Star God Tree and picked dozens of Star God fruits. But I don't know the location of the Star God Tree. Originally, I wanted to look through the Kangshan nodes left by Lord Kangshan to see if I could find the location of the Star God Tree, but now the undead god of death has taken away the Kangshan notes. You followed Lord Kangshan back then. Did you know that he mentioned the whereabouts of the Star God Tree? Yang Ocean asked. Originally, Yang Ocean had no hope, but Kang Xiang said, back then, Lord Kangshan and I entered the Sea of Stars together, and I know the whereabouts of the Star God Tree. Yang Ocean was very surprised when he heard it. He didn't expect Kang Xiang to know the whereabouts of the Star God Tree. It's just that it's very difficult to pick the Star God fruit. Kang Xiang shook his head and said, the Star God Tree grows on the Star Ice Sea, and the cold air is overwhelming. It's impossible to get close to the Star God Tree within 100 miles. Star Ice Sea. Yang Ocean was stunned. Kang Xiang nodded. Yes, Star Ice Sea. Back then, Lord Kangshen was able to pick the Star God fruit because Lord Kangshen subdued the Blue Lotus Divine Fire by chance. He was not afraid of the terrifying ice air of the Star Ice Sea. Blue Lotus Divine Fire. The 5th rank Divine Fire. Yang Ocean was surprised. Few outsiders know that Lord Kangshen has the Blue Lotus Divine Fire. Kang Xiang explained. Does Lord Kang Xiang know the whereabouts of the Blue Lotus Divine Fire? Yang Ocean couldn't help asking. Kangshen has passed away. After his death, the Blue Lotus Divine Fire returned to heaven and earth and became an ownerless thing. Kang Xiang shook his head and said, after Lord Kangshen died, the Blue Lotus Divine Fire escaped. No one knows where it went. However, someone once said that they saw the Blue Lotus Divine Fire in Wanjian continent. I don't know whether it is true or not. Wanjian continent. Yang Ocean was excited. Yes, Wanjian continent. Kang Xiang said, I heard from Yang Jiang that His Majesty is asking about the whereabouts of the Divine Fire and the Divine Sword. There are countless sword masters and many sword gods in Wanjian continent, and many divine swords are in Wanjian continent. For example, the Black Dragon Divine Sword and the Purple Cloud Divine Sword are both in Wanjian continent. Yang Ocean was moved when he heard this. If so, he will have to go to Wanjian continent after things here are done. And he is about to enter the Holy Realm. When he enters the Holy Realm, he can become the master of Tangshan Divine Sect. How is Lord Kang Xiang's injury recovering? When the tide of the Sea of Stars recedes next time, I want you to accompany me into the Sea of Stars. Yang Ocean said. Kang Xiang smiled and said, with your Majesty's 6th Heavenly Tribulation Thunderwater, my injuries have recovered a lot. I can accompany your Majesty into the Sea of Stars. However, the icy air of the Sea of Stars is too terrifying. Without the Divine Fire, I cannot enter. Yang Ocean smiled and summoned the Divine Thunder Fire. Kang Xiang stared at the Divine Thunder Fire beside Yang Ocean and was stunned. Divine Thunder Fire. Then he smiled and said, I didn't expect your Majesty to have the Divine Thunder Fire. However, although the Divine Thunder Fire can enter the Sea of Stars, it is still a bit difficult to get close to the Divine Star Tree within a radius of 10 miles. However, as soon as he finished speaking, he saw the Buddha's light blooming, and the 1,000 Buddha's divine fire emerged from Yang Ocean's body. Then, the light of the stars rose sharply, and the purple myrtle divine fire also emerged from Yang Ocean's body. Kang Xiang was completely stunned. He looked at the 3 divine fires beside Yang Ocean in shock and disbelief. Three divine fires, and 2 of them are the top 10 divine fires. He never thought that one person could have so many divine fires. Of course, He knew how difficult it was to subdue the divine fire. When Kang Shen subdued the Kinglian divine fire, he almost died. After a long time, Kang Xiang came back to his senses from the shock. He smiled bitterly and said, I didn't expect that your majesty possessed the 3 divine fires. With the 3 divine fires, you can get close to the star god tree. At this point, he said, but the star god tree is guarded by the star giant beast, so your majesty has to be careful when the time comes. Star giant beast. Yang Xiaoshan frowned. Yes, the star giant beast. This star giant beast is very powerful. Kang Xiang said. However, the star god beast is sleepy and is usually in a sleeping state. As long as you don't actively attack it or fight it, it will not wake up. Yang Xiaoshan felt relieved. If so, that's good. Soon, Yang Xiaoshan found out that the next low tide of the Sea of Stars would be in 2 months. 2 months later, Yang Xiaoshan read. In this case, he was not in a hurry to leave. After a month, he and Kang Xiang set off again. Chapter 508 Young Martial Saint. After deciding to wait a month before heading to the Sea of Stars, Yang Xiaoshan returned to the Mansion of the Gods. As the year was coming to an end, the entire Wanshen Empire was bustling. The streets were decorated with lights and there was a festive atmosphere. However, after the last attack by the 4 demon sects on the Wanshen Empire, the Wanshen Empire strengthened the military strength of the imperial capital, and soldiers patrolling everywhere. Before Yang Xiaoshan returned to the Mansion of the Gods, the guards of the Mansion of the Gods shouted in surprise from afar, Your Majesty is back. Your Majesty is back. As soon as the voice came out, not only the Mansion of the Gods was boiling, but also the surrounding streets were boiling. The masters who passed by didn't recognize Yang Xiaoshan at first, but when they heard it, they all looked at Yang Xiaoshan. It's His Majesty Yang Shen, the 3000 Emperors. Your Majesty Yang Shen. The masters who passed by were all excited and knelt down. Suddenly, a large area of the streets that had just been bustling knelt down. And the sound became louder and louder, and spread wider and wider, and more masters knelt down. It even extended to the end of the street. Yang Xiaoshan was sweating, and quickly helped the people around him up. Everyone, stand up. No need to be polite. After Yang Xiaoshan shouted repeatedly, everyone gradually stood up. Even so, the people on the street were still excited. For many people, it was a supreme honor to be able to meet the new Lord of Kangshan. Seeing that everyone was standing there, unwilling to leave or move, Yang Xiaoshan could only clasp his fists and say, everyone, leave. Then he walked towards the Mansion of the Gods. However, even if Yang Xiaoshan persuaded them, no one left. In the end, it was the people from the Mansion of the Gods who came out, and Yang Xiaoshan entered the Mansion of the Gods surrounded by the people. After Yang Xiaoshan entered the Mansion of the Gods for a long time, the people gradually left. Yang Linga smiled at Yang Xiaoshan and said, Brother, you don't know that in the past few months, many warriors came from all over the empire every day, gathered outside the mansion and waited, just to see you. Later, there were more and more people, and we couldn't even move a step when we wanted to go out. In the end, there was no choice, and it was the Emperor of 10,000 gods who sent people to persuade everyone to leave. At this point, Yang Linga blinked her big eyes and smiled. Now the warriors of the Kangshen continent admire my brother very much. Then she lowered her voice and leaned closer and said, and there are many beautiful sisters coming every day. Yang Xiaoshan knocked on Yang Linga's forehead and scolded with a smile. You are teasing your brother again. Yang Linga touched her forehead and pouted. I didn't. I was telling the truth. Yang Chao and Huanang were both smiling. Father, mother. Yang Xiaoshan stepped forward and smiled. Huangang smiled at Yang Linga and said, they said that others waited outside to see your brother, but you are different. Then, she smiled at Yang Xiaoshan and said, Linga is always talking about you. She often waits outside the mansion, waiting and wondering when her brother will come back. Yang Linga stuck out her tongue and said, I didn't wait outside. Everyone laughed. Yang Xiaoshan and his family entered the mansion, chatting and laughing, and introduced Dengfeng and others from the Yimfeng sect to everyone. This time, he came back with Anlang and Dengfeng. Girl, how is your practice recently? Have you slacked off? Yang Xiaoshan asked Yang Linga with a smile. I haven't slacked off. Yang Linga shook her long braid and smiled. I practice hard every day, practice all the time, and practice with all my strength. She used 3 practice to show that she was working hard. Yang Cheo smiled and said, Linga has been practicing very hard. She said that when she breaks through to the martial honor level, she will go to participate in the assessment of Kangshen Academy. Yang Xiaoshan smiled at Yang Linga and said, really? Yang Linga said seriously, when I enter Kangshen Academy, I will continue to work hard and participate in the assessment of Kangshen Mansion. Huang Ying smiled and said, the girl's goal is not small. She said that she wants to be the first female sword god in Kangshen continent in the future. Yang Xiaoshan laughed. Yang Linga was a little embarrassed by Yang Xiaoshan's smile. That night, a banquet was held in the mansion of the gods, and the whole mansion was full of laughter. Brother, the new year will be here in a few days. How much red envelope will you give me this year? Yang Linga asked with a smile at the banquet. Every new year, this is what she cares about most. 1 billion low-grade spirit stones. How about it? Yang Xiaoshan asked with a smile. Yang Linga puffed. Her eyes widened, and she looked at her brother in disbelief. 1 billion? In previous years, Yang Xiaoshan would only give me 10 million at most. Xiaojun also gulped down the wine. How many lollipops could he buy with these 1 billion low-grade spirit stones? If he ate one lollipop every day with 1 billion low-grade spirit stones, he would probably not be able to finish them in 100 million years. Seeing his sister's surprised look, Yang Xiaoshan smiled and said, your brother went overseas a few days ago and made a fortune. Not only did he find the Yellow Springs treasure, he also emptied the treasure house of the Stars Palace, including the best spirit stones, holy spirit stones, and many natural treasures. How could he not make a fortune? Brother, you didn't empty the treasure house of the Stars Kingdom, did you? Yang Linga asked with a smile. The story of Yang Xiaoshan and the Stars Kingdom was spread back to the Kangshan continent, and everyone in the God's Mansion knew about it. That's about right. Yang Xiaoshan smiled. The banquet lasted until late at night. After everyone dispersed, Yang Xiaoshan returned to his palace to continue practicing the Yellow Springs divine art, striving to break through the 10th level as soon as possible. When Yang Xiaoshan stopped practicing, he found that it was already dawn. He came out of the room and practiced swordsmanship for a while. He practiced the supreme magical power he had practiced before. Above the pinnacle is the sword intent. A sword god can comprehend more than 9 kinds of sword intent. Yang Xiaoshan felt that within a year, he could comprehend more than 9 kinds of sword intent at the same time. If he entered the Sea of Stars and obtained those dozen star god fruits, he might be able to break through the realm of martial saint within a year. By then, he would be the first young martial saint in the history of Kangshen continent. In Kangshen continent, no one could break through the realm of martial emperor before the age of 18, let alone the realm of martial saint. After the new year, he was only 16 years old. I wonder if there are young martial emperors or young martial saints in Wanjian continent. Yang Xiaoshan thought secretly. His master, Lord Hangfeng, came from Wanjian continent. Wanjian continent is stronger than Kangshen continent, and there are more and stronger martial arts geniuses and sword geniuses. At this moment, he saw his sister Yang Linga leading Dong Huangxiu in. Seeing Dong Huangxiu, Yang Xiaoshan was surprised. He hadn't seen Dong Huangxiu for some time, but Dong Huangxiu's expression was a little wrong at this time. Sister Dong Huang, Yang Xiaoshan said. Dong Huangxiu came to Yang Xiaoshan and said with red eyes, Junior brother Yang, please save my father. President Dong Huang? Yang Xiaoshan was stunned. My father went overseas with the masters of the Chamber of Commerce a few months ago, but there has been no news for several months. Dong Huangxiu said sadly. President Dong Huang hasn't come back yet? Yang Xiaoshan was surprised. When he was overseas, he met Dong Huang Chamber of Commerce. At that time, Dong Huangsheng said that he was going to Xianshao Island to find the best spiritual veins and invited him to go with him. It's been almost half a year and he hasn't come back yet? In theory, he should have come back a long time ago. Chapter 509, Attacking Kangshan Continent. Yes, my father and Uncle Xian haven't come back yet. Deng Huangxiu said with red eyes. We have sent experts to look for him, but there has been no news. And recently the overseas army has heavily blocked the sea area. Deng Huangxiu's pretty face was anxious, worried, and even afraid. Once her father got into trouble, she could imagine the consequences. Deng Huang Chamber of Commerce needs her father to be in charge. If her father died, Deng Huang Chamber of Commerce would be in chaos. In the past month, Deng Huang Chamber of Commerce has begun to be in chaos, and some of the ancestors of the Chamber of Commerce have ill intentions. Senior Sister Deng Huang, I will ask the Lord of the House, Kangshen Academy, and the 10,000 Gods Empire, to send people to inquire about your father's news. Yang Xiaoshan did not hesitate, and immediately asked people to contact Zheng Yangjiang, Chen Jing, and Wang Guanfeng, asking them to do their best to inquire about Deng Huangsheng's whereabouts. Thank you, junior brother. Deng Huangxiu looked grateful. Yang Xiaoshan shook his head and said, Sister, you don't have to be polite to me. I will let someone notify you as soon as there is news. Then he comforted her. Don't worry, President Deng Huang will definitely find it. Deng Huangxiu nodded, and then she sat for a while before leaving. In the next few days, Yang Xiaoshan continued to practice Huangquan divine art in the residence of the gods. Huangquan divine art has improved a lot, and has reached the middle stage of the 9th level. However, Yang Xiaoshan still thinks it is too slow. If he continues to practice like this, he may need another year to break through the 10th level. Therefore, after finding the Star God fruit, he decided to enter the ruins of Huangquan Demon Gate to practice with the help of the Death God Tree. If he sits cross-legged under the Death God Tree to practice and absorb the Death Spirit, Huangquan divine art will definitely improve rapidly. But a few days have passed, and there is still no news about Deng Huangsheng. In the past few days, Zheng Kai and Qian and Wanning came twice. Once the two women came together. Once the two women came with Deng Huangxiu and the 9 Fox Princess Bailey. On New Year's Eve, Wang Guanfeng, the Emperor of 10,000 Gods, brought Wanning to pay New Year's greetings to Yang Xiaoshan's family. Yang Chao and Huang Ying were so happy that they couldn't close their mouths. Which parent doesn't want their son to be successful? Now their son Yang Shen is the pride of the entire Kangshen continent. On that day, Yang Xiaoshan gave Yang Linger a red envelope of 1 billion, and of course, his father and mother also gave one. Xiaojun, Wu Liao, Luo King, everyone got one. On the first day of the new year, just when Yang Xiaoshan was practicing swordsmanship, suddenly, all the soldiers of the Wanshen Emperor knelt on one knee and shouted in unison to the god's mansion, Your Majesty Yang Shen is invincible for all eternity. Your Majesty Yang Shen is invincible for all eternity. Your Majesty Yang Shen is invincible for all eternity. They shouted 3 times in a row, and the sound shook the world. It spread to every corner of the Wanshen Emperor. The masters of all sects in the Wanshen Emperor were all excited and shouted in unison, Your Majesty Yang Shen is invincible for all eternity. The sound lasted for a long time. Yang Xiaoshan stopped practicing swordsmanship, was stunned, shook his head and smiled, knowing that it was the Wanshen Emperor who did it. Afterwards, the Yang family went shopping for the new year as in previous years. Yang Linger, who had not eaten lollipops for many years, bought 2 super large lollipops, one for each of her and Xiaojun, and they licked them loudly. After a day of shopping, Yang Xiaoshan returned to the mansion and continued to practice the Yellow Spring Divine Art. All his focus now is to improve the Yellow Spring Divine Art to the 10th level. Get the Yellow Spring Divine Art to the 10th level as soon as possible. A month passed in the blink of an eye. Kang Xiang arrived as promised and set off for the Sea of Stars with Yang Xiaoshan. On the spaceship, Yang Xiaoshan continued to practice the Yellow Spring Divine Art. Occasionally, Yang Xiaoshan would fight Kang Xiang on the ship. Of course, neither of them used their true essence and divine power, but just countered each other's moves. Even so, the two were as fast as lightning, leaving a trail of after images in the air. Kang Xiang has lived for 1,000,000 years and has mastered all kinds of magical powers. At the beginning, Yang Xiaoshan was almost beaten by Kang Xiang, but day by day, Yang Xiaoshan became stronger and stronger and gradually equaled Kang Xiang. Kang Xiang was amazed. As time passed, when the two came to the Sea of Stars, it was noon. The tide had receded, and the stars in the sky were shining, illuminating the entire sea of stars. Looking at the sea of stars in front of him, Kang Xiang couldn't help but recall the scene of crossing the sea of stars with the Lord of Kangshen. The scene seemed like yesterday. In the blink of an eye, it was already a million years. But the people of that year were gone. Yang Xiaoshan saw Kang Xiang standing there, staring at the sea of stars for a long time in a daze. He knew that Kang Xiang was thinking about the past, so he didn't disturb him. After a moment, Kang Xiang came back to his senses and smiled at Yang Xiaoshan. "Your Majesty, let's go in." "Okay." The two of them broke through the air and stepped into the dreamlike sea of stars. The two figures were imprinted on the surface of the sea of stars, rising and falling with the waves. This time, the two had a clear purpose and went directly to the Sea of Stars. The Sea of Stars is at the northernmost part of the Sea of Stars, so after entering the Sea of Stars, the two flew north all the way. On the way, they met many masters from the sects who came in to search for treasures, and many sects and families fought and killed for treasures. Just as Yang Xiaoshan and the others flew to the Sea of Stars, several figures also flashed into the Sea of Stars and also approached the Sea of Stars at a very fast speed. These people were the immortal death god, the ancient heart demon, Yanping, the corpse demon, the blood demon, and the evil Buddha. After the few people grabbed the Kangshen notes, they didn't know what method they used to open the first few pages of the Kangshen notes and found the location of the star god tree. "I didn't expect the star god tree to be in the star ice sea," the immortal death god said. "Fortunately, we have collected a lot of earth core flames. With these earth core flames, to resist the star ice, we should be able to get those dozen star god fruits." The ancient heart demon was like a dry earth, lifeless, and did not speak. When he got the star god fruit, not only would his injuries be healed, but his cultivation would also be improved. Then, why should he be afraid of the Kang Xiang? Thinking of the attack on the Kangshen mansion a few days ago, he was almost hit by the Kang Xiang, and the ancient heart demon's eyes flashed with bloodthirsty light. Emperor Yunshan's son died at the hands of Yang Xiaoshan. Now Emperor Yunshan hates to eat Yang Xiaoshan's flesh and blood. Yanping, the son of the Hades, pondered, with Emperor Yunshan's character, how could he give up? Overseas countries will soon send troops to Kangshen continent. The corpse demon sneered. Emperor Yunshan and Kangshen continent are fighting each other, and Kangshen mansion is busy dealing with it. When the time comes, we will attack Kangshen mansion and we will definitely be able to rescue the body of Lord Mingshan. The undead god of death smiled and said, "I have heard that Emperor Yunshan is summoning the emperors of overseas countries to discuss attacking Kangshen continent." Yang Ping smiled and said, "Then we have to prepare early and reap the benefits of being a fisherman." Several people smiled. The undead god of death talked and laughed as they approached the starry ice sea. At this time, Yang Xiaoshan and the others finally arrived at the starry ice sea. I saw the starlight flashing in front of me, shrouded in heavy ice air. The ice air was so thick that it could not be melted. Yang Xiaoshan could only vaguely see 100 meters ahead. Chapter 510. The starry beast with four legs upturned in the sky. Yang Xiaoshan was just standing at the edge of the starry sea, but the amazing icy air spread to the surroundings, and Yang Xiaoshan's whole body and even the Sea of Gods felt frozen. Yang Xiaoshan immediately summoned the three divine fires of Ziwei divine fire, Thousand Buddha divine fire, and Thunder Tribulation divine fire. The three divine fires protected the body. For a moment, the star flames soared into the sky, the Buddha light moved, and the thunder flames exploded. Looking at Yang Xiaoshan's three divine bodies again, Kang Xiang was shocked. Although the Lord of Kangshen had the 5th ranked Kinglian divine fire, Yang Xiaoshan's three divine fires were more shocking. These are the three divine fires, not spiritual fire and strange fire. Under the protection of the three divine fires, Yang Xiaoshan and Kang Xiang immediately walked into the starry sea. The surface of the starry sea was frozen for eternity. When the two stepped on it, a slight ding-dong sound was heard, which was very pleasant. The sea surface was smooth, with a little starlight, and the figures of the two were reflected on it. Yang Xiaoshan suddenly felt like walking into the galaxy of time. Everything was quiet around. Yang Xiaoshan was at peace. Kang Xiang looked at the sea of stars and ice in front of him and also exclaimed, "This is absolutely beautiful. It can be called the most beautiful place in Kangshen continent." He smiled at Yang Xiaoshan and said, "Your Majesty, you don't know that when I came here with Lord Kangshen, and I liked this place very much. Lord Kangshen also said that, if there is a chance in the future, I hope to build a cave here and live here forever." At this point, Kang Xiang sighed in his heart. Yang Xiaoshan was moved when he heard this. The Lord of Kangshen actually wanted to build a cave here and live here forever. He looked at the beautiful sea of stars and ice in front of him, and he liked it more and more. This is an excellent place for cultivation. Although the icy air is terrifying, he has the 3 great divine fires, so he is not afraid. The ding-dong sound continued. The 2 people were moving at a moderate speed. Just when the world was quiet, suddenly, a subtle snoring broke the silence. Yang Xiaoshan was stunned. "It's that star beast." Kang Xiang explained with a smile. "That guy is very sleepy, and his sleeping posture is quite funny." "Really?" Yang Xiaoshan laughed. As the 2 continued to move forward, the snoring became louder and louder. Finally, the snoring sounded like thunder. Yang Xiaoshan truly experienced what it meant to snore like thunder. When the other person snored, it was like thunder in the sky. As he got closer, Yang Xiaoshan saw a towering tree standing on the ice sea. This towering tree was taller and larger than the tree of life. It was more than 100 feet tall, with lush branches and leaves. The huge branches stretched out like giant hands, holding star fruits that looked like star gems. Those star fruits bloomed with starlight between the branches and leaves. Although they were gorgeous, they were not dazzling. The star tree was even more shocking than the tree of life. Kang Xiang looked at the star tree and could not hide his shock. The star tree in front of him was simply a work of God. Yang Xiaoshan noticed that not far from the star tree, there was an extremely huge beast sleeping. This beast was even bigger than his supreme king Wuhan, the dark golden flame dragon. Seeing the star beast, Yang Xiaoshan finally understood how funny the sleeping posture that Kang Xiang was talking about was. He saw that the other party was sleeping with its 4 legs up in the air and its head up. And the snoring sound like thunder did not come from its nostrils, but from its mouth. Yang Xiaoshan felt funny and speechless. He had never seen anyone sleeping with a beast facing the sky. This star beast, this sleeping posture is simply unique. Yang Xiaoshan smiled to Kang Xiang. "Master Kang Xiang is right. This sleeping posture is simply eye-catching." Kang Xiang also laughed. "This guy, when he is asleep, is quite cute. However, if he wakes up, it is super scary." Back then, Kang Xiang thought it was fun and woke up the star beast, but the other party roared loudly, shattering countless seas. The roar has left Kang Xiang with lingering fears for so many years. Yang Xiaoshan withdrew his gaze from the star beast and looked at the 11 star fruits. Each of these 11 star fruits is the size of a fist, like a crystal clear star gem, exuding an alluring fragrance that makes people salivate. Yang Xiaoshan jumped up and came to one of the star fruits. The star fruit does not need to be picked directly with hands, otherwise it will immediately turn into star spirit. Yang Xiaoshan took out the star stick that he had prepared long ago, knocked one of them down, and then caught it with the star bottle. Afterwards, he followed the same method, knocking down the remaining star fruits one by one, and catching them with the star bottle. However, just when Yang Xiaoshan knocked down the 7th star fruit, suddenly, a sound of footsteps sounded in the distance. Yang Xiaoshan and the others were surprised. Then they saw the undying death god, the ancient heart demon, and Yanping walking from a distance. Although they were shrouded in icy air, the 2 of them still recognized several people instantly. The undying death god and the others also saw Yang Xiaoshan and Kang Xiang, who were collecting the star fruit. Yang Xiaoshan, Kang Xiang. Several people said in unison. Seeing that there were only a few star god fruits left on the tree, the faces of the undead god of death changed drastically, and they were all furious. Suddenly, the undead god of death had a ferocious face, with boundless murderous intent in his eyes. Yang Xiaoshan, since we can't get the star god fruit, you can't get it either. At this point, he suddenly punched out with both fists. Die for me. He didn't punch Yang Xiaoshan and Kang Xiang, but punched the star god tree. Suddenly, the undead death key swallowed up the sky and the earth. The ancient heart demon also punched out with both fists, and the boundless demonic energy was even stronger than the undead death key. Yang Ping and the corpse demon also attacked at the same time. The power of several people to destroy the world flooded the star god tree at the same time. Although the star god tree is the tree of heaven and earth, if it is hit by the full force of the 6 people, it will definitely be destroyed. Even if it is not destroyed, it will be severely damaged, and it will be difficult to recover in a million years. As for the remaining star god fruits, they will be destroyed in an instant. Yang Xiaoshan and Kang Xiang both changed their faces. Without any thought, Yang Xiaoshan shouted, "Master Ding." Instantly, golden light shone brightly, and boundless golden light supported the sky. Just as Master Ding's golden light shone brightly, suddenly, the sleeping star beast opened its scarlet eyes. As soon as it opened its eyes and turned over, it roared to the sky. The roar formed a terrifying sound wave. Countless ice air on the sea surface was shaken away, and the space seemed to be blown away by this terrifying sound wave. The terrifying sound wave attacked the 6 people of the undead god of death and the ancient heart demon. Boom. A loud sound that shook the sky. The star beast was shaken back, and the 6 people of the undead god of death and the ancient heart demon were also shaken back again and again. The corpse demon, the blood demon, and the evil Buddha were directly blown away and vomited blood. The undead god of death and the ancient heart demon looked at the star beast that suddenly woke up, and their faces changed drastically. They didn't expect that this star beast with 4 legs up in the air and snoring from its mouth would be so fierce. Chapter 511, Corpse Demon Death. Just as the immortal death god was repelled, the aftermath of the devastating power blasted towards the star god tree. Seeing that the star god tree was about to be hit, and the star god fruits were about to be destroyed, suddenly, the golden light of the dinghy surged and kept spinning, protecting the entire star god tree like a golden tripod. The aftermath of the power blasted on the golden light, and the golden light vibrated constantly, but it did not break. Seeing this, Yang Xiaoshan felt relieved, and quickly collected the remaining star god fruits. The immortal death god felt like vomiting blood when he saw that all the fruits were collected by Yang Xiaoshan. He had gone through so much trouble to attack the Kangshen mansion, and he didn't know how many masters of the demon sect died. He robbed the Kangshen notes just for these dozen star god fruits, and now, there is not a single one left. All of them were taken advantage of by Yang Xiaoshan, and all fell into Yang Xiaoshan's pocket. Thinking of the eternal heaven coffin, the ancient blood frog, and the yellow spring ruins, Yang Xiaoshan was ruining his plans everywhere. The eyes of the undead god of death were bloodshot, and his killing intent was extremely violent. Kill. Kill this kid. He roared, and with a wave of his hands, countless undead death key turned into undead dead spirits. Billions of undead dead spirits bombarded Yang Xiaoshan. He wished he could pull out Yang Xiaoshan's soul, roast it with fire, and whip it with whips. At this time, the demonic energy of the ancient heart demon surged, and demon bodies flew out one by one. It was the Dao heart demon body. Previously, the ancient heart demon sent out a Dao heart demon body, and with one sentence, Yang Xiaoshan, Dark Dragon, and several others fell into an endless illusion. But now, there were hundreds of Dao heart demon bodies. The son of the Hades, Yan Ping, also had ghost energy surging all over his body, and countless ghost kings and ghost generals flew out. The corpse demon, the blood demon, and the evil Buddha also attacked with all their strength. Almost instantly, Kang Xiang also transformed into his true form. A giant bear that could support the sky and earth, and could rival the Lord of the Abyss stood between heaven and earth. His giant palm, like the ancient sacred mountain, suddenly slapped down. The already huge star beast had grown hundreds of times larger. It stood there, blocking out the sky and the sun, as if it was going to burst the entire starry ice sea. It roared at the undead god of death, the ancient heart demon, and others. The roar was whistling. The space collapsed. The entire ice sea seemed to be flying up. The terrifying sound wave was more than 10 times stronger than before. All the billions of dead spirits of the undead god of death were shaken away, shattered, and killed. Even the hundreds of Dao heart demon bodies of the ancient heart demon were shaken away, and cracks appeared all over their bodies. All of Yan Ping's countless ghost kings and ghost generals were also shaken to death. The corpse demon, the blood demon, and the evil Buddha were like kites with broken strings, flying backwards, vomiting blood, and the divine armors of several people were bursting. Seeing this scene, Yang Ocean was shocked. Even if the strength of the Star Beast is not as good as that of the Lord of the Abyss, it is probably not much different. It is so terrifying. Even Kang Xiang was surprised. Retreat. The undead death god and the ancient heart demon were all frightened by the terrifying strength of the Star Beast. Without thinking, they flew away. Yang Ocean and Kang Xiang also broke through the air and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Although he was not afraid of the Star Beast, there was no need to waste the 9 heavenly tribulation thunderwater on the Star Beast. When the Star Beast saw the undead death god retreating, it was still furious. It roared and chased after it. Seeing this, Kang Xiang couldn't help but gloat. The Star Beast is the guardian beast of the Star God Tree. The undead death god and his men attempted to destroy the Star God Tree. Isn't this just courting death? However, Yang Ocean did not leave immediately, but secretly followed the undead death god and his men. Last time, the undying death god and his men attacked the Kang God mansion, and his injurer should not have recovered yet. Since he met them this time, he would certainly collect some interest. Even if he could not destroy the undying death god, the ancient heart demon and Yanping would also kill the 3 corpse demons. The Star Beast chased the undying death god and his men until they retreated from the Star Ice Sea, then stopped and returned to the Star God Tree. The undying death god breathed a sigh of relief when he saw the Star Beast leave, and his face was as gloomy as water. Damn it. Yanping, the son of the Hades god, thought about how he had gone through so many hardships and could not even get a Star God fruit, and he could not help but roared, Yang Ocean, you are a fucking bastard. Suddenly, the sky and the earth darkened. Several people looked up in shock and saw Ding Yi and the giant palm of the Kang bear slamming down. Retreat. The undying death god roared, punched up, and retreated without thinking. But he was still half a step slow. Boom. A loud sound that shook the sky. Several people were all blasted into the bottom of the Xingqian Sea. Countless miles of sea were blown away, and huge waves blew up thousands of feet. The destructive power swept, and even the ice sea was blown away layer by layer. Ding Yi soared into the sky again, and blasted down with Kang Xiang again. After several consecutive attacks, when they stopped, in the abyss of the seabed, the corpse demon, the blood demon, and the evil Buddha were lying there in a bloody mess, already dying. However, the immortal death god, the ancient heart demon, and Yanping had escaped at some point. Yang Ocean looked at the dying, bloody corpse demons, and the Tangshan divine sword appeared in his hand. Tangshan divine sword. The 3 looked at the Tangshan divine sword in Yang Ocean's hand in shock, and said weakly. Yang Ocean's eyes were cold, and the Tangshan divine sword in his hand fell, and the heads of the 3 corpse demons rolled down immediately. Corpse demon, the supreme demon head who was as famous as the Lord of the Gods, he probably didn't expect that he would die in the hands of an emperor after more than 100,000 years. However, Yang Ocean did not burn the bodies of the 3 people, but threw them into the Yellow Spring Corpse River Cauldron. When he returned to Kangshen Mansion, he would hang the bodies of the 3 people in Kangshen Mansion. Aren't the 3 major demon sects going to attack Kangshen Mansion? He let the masters of the 3 major demon sects take a good look at the end of their ancestors. It's a pity that the ancient heart demon escaped. Kang Xiang said regretfully. They can't escape. Yang Ocean glanced in a certain direction and said coldly. When Lord Ding hit the undead death gods just now, he had already planted a mark on them. Within 100,000 miles, Lord Ding could sense the existence of the 3 people. Chapter 512, Dark and Windy Night of Murder. Then, Yang Ocean and Kang Xiang left the Sea of Stars and pursued the 3 immortal gods of death. Hard work pays off. After 9 days and 9 nights, Yang Ocean finally found the headquarters of the underworld. The headquarters of the underworld is also in the Futu Empire, and it is built in the endless forests and vast mountains in the south of the Futu Empire. Yang Ocean asked Kang Xiang to order the Futu Empire army and all the masters of the nearby super sects to rush over as quickly as possible and wait for him outside. As soon as he attacks, he will attack. He asked Ding Yi to block his breath and lurked in the headquarters of the underworld. It seems that I can give the girl a big red envelope again this year. The treasure house of the underworld headquarters is definitely a big treasure. A lot of treasures. At this time, Yanping, the immortal god of death, and the ancient heart demon fled back to the main hall of the underworld headquarters. The three of them sat in the main hall, silent, and the atmosphere in the hall was depressing. The three of them had a violent killing intent in their hearts. The violent killing intent towards Yangzai Ocean. In this life, I will use all my strength to kill everyone around Yangzai Ocean. Yanping finally broke the silence, his eyes full of murderous intent. Everyone who is related to Yangzai Ocean must die. Even a dog around him must die. Yanping's voice was cold, as if it floated out of hell. His hatred for Yangzai Ocean has surpassed all his hatred in the world. The immortal death god was also murderous and violent. Even in the ancient times, he had never been so embarrassed. Yangzai Ocean ruined his good deeds again and again. If it weren't for Yangzai Ocean, he would have obtained the Eternal Heaven Coffin and refined the Eternal Heaven Coffin. He would have found the Yellow Spring Divine Pill and his cultivation would have greatly increased. He had already. The more the immortal death god thought about it, the more murderous he became, and the more angry he became. We can cooperate with Emperor Yunshan. The ancient inner demon suddenly spoke. Emperor Yunshan. Yanping, the immortal death god was startled. That's right, Emperor Yunshan. The ancient heart demon pondered. If I recover from my injuries and join forces with Emperor Yunshan, I can rescue the Hades. Then, the four of us can shake that Lord Ding. The ancient heart demon, Emperor Yunshan, the undefeated Hades, and the immortal death god. If the four of them join forces, they can shake Lord Ding's attack. Yanping immediately said, okay, I will send someone to the Kingdom of Stars and discuss the alliance with Emperor Yunshan. I will go into seclusion now. If there is nothing big, don't bother me again. The ancient heart demon said coldly. If he hadn't recovered from his injuries, he wouldn't have been so embarrassed. This time, he would completely recover from his injuries before coming out of seclusion. Seeing the ancient heart demon in seclusion, the immortal death god floated away from the Hades Gate headquarters and went to the ruins of the Yellow Springs Demon Gate. He wanted to use the Corpse River to practice. He had already practiced the immortal god cannon to the highest level. In addition, he wanted to explore the Yellow Springs Patriarch's cave to see if he could find the Yellow Springs Divine Pill. Seeing the ancient demon and the immortal god of death leave, Yanping also went into the secret room to heal his wounds and told everyone not to disturb him unless it was extremely important. Like the ancient demon and the immortal god of death, he was now eager to recover from his injuries. At this time, Yangzai Ocean was shuttling between the mountains of the Hades headquarters, trying to find the Hades treasure house. The Hades headquarters is very large, with continuous mountains. It is much more difficult to find its treasure house than to find the treasure house of the Star Palace. Yangzai Ocean searched for a long time, but couldn't find the treasure house. Finally, Yangzai Ocean found a clue in an alchemy room. After careful search, he found that there was an entrance to the passage, hidden in the alchemy room. After opening the entrance to the passage, Yangzai Ocean walked down tens of thousands of steps to the underground, and came to the door of the treasure house. Yangzai Ocean skillfully urged the time power of the eternal body. When Yangzai Ocean broke through the door of the treasure house and entered the treasure house, he was shocked by the colorful auspicious air in front of him. What came into view was the spiritual stone peak composed of 5 colors: water, fire, gold, wood, and earth. It turned out to be the 5-element spirit stone. And all of them are top grade, and even holy. Yangzai Ocean felt the aura of the 5-element Holy Spirit. Wow, it's actually the 5-element spirit stone. Even Uncle Ding was surprised. The 5-element spirit stone is a very rare kind of spirit stone, even rarer than the dragon vein spirit stone. Yangzai Ocean was not polite, and he worked with Uncle Ding to move the 5-element spirit stone with all his strength. Although there are not many 5-element holy spirit stones, there are also 50 or 60 of them. One person and one tripod, moving all the way to the depths of the treasury. Heavenly Destiny Stone. In the depths of the treasury, Yangzai Ocean found more than a dozen Heavenly Destiny Stones. This is a pleasant surprise. At the same time, he also found many secret manuals and elixirs of the Hades. One day later, the treasure house of the Hades headquarters was finally emptied. When Yangzai Ocean came out of the treasury, it was late at night. It was a dark and windy night for murder. Yang Xiaoshan couldn't help but lock on the cave where Yanping, the son of the Hades, practiced. Among the three, the immortal death god, the ancient heart demon, and the son of the Hades, Yanping is relatively weaker and the easiest to kill. Moreover, Yanping commands the entire Hades Gate. If Yanping dies, the entire Hades Gate will inevitably be in chaos. Without Yanping and Hades Gate, the threat of the immortal death god and the ancient heart demon will be greatly reduced. Immediately, Yang Xiaoshan came to the sky above Yanping's cave and summoned Dingyi. Dingyi instantly grew a billion times larger, and the golden flame illuminated the night, and the peaks of Hades Gate headquarters were illuminated. Dingyi's terrifying power enveloped countless miles of Hades Gate. At the moment when Dingyi's power descended, Yanping and the ancient heart demon suddenly realized that the two turned into two amazing streams of light and were about to rush out. But as soon as the two rushed out of the cave, they saw Dingyi bombarded down with the momentum of destroying the world. Boom. Yanping, the ancient heart demon, and countless Hades Gate masters around were instantly bombarded into the ground. Countless peaks and palaces disappeared. The moment he was blasted into the ground, the ancient demon turned into a huge demonic energy and dissipated into the world. Yanping also soared into the sky, regardless of his injuries, and roared, "Yang Xiaoshan, you are looking for death. Kill Yang Xiaoshan for me." At the same time, he swung the sword of the Hades in his hand and rushed towards Yang Xiaoshan frantically. The millions of disciples of the Hades Gate rushed towards Yang Xiaoshan like a tide. At this moment, Dingyi blasted down again, blasting Yanping and his sword energy away. Yang Xiaoshan looked at the millions of disciples of the Hades Gate who rushed over and urged all the acupoints in his body to be true. Suddenly, countless pillars of golden light soared into the sky. The Supreme King Wu Soul Dark Golden Flame Dragon and Zuan Wu flew out at the same time, and the Lord of the Abyss Soul Ring and the Deep Sea Demon Kun Soul Ring pressured the world. The power of the 2 million-year soul rings, like a huge wave, swept across the world. The millions of disciples of the Hades Gate who originally rushed over were frightened and pale, and their legs trembled. Lord of the Abyss, Deep Sea Demon Kun, 2 million-year soul rings. Then, Yang Xiaoshan summoned all 6 primordial destinies. The 6 primordial destinies of 12,960 miles each emitted a golden glow. The primordial power was endless. With one shock, the terrifying power sent countless disciples of the underworld flying. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 513 The Birth of the 15th Sword Heart. The 6 primordial destinies only shook once, and all the disciples of the underworld within 100 miles around Yang Xiaoshan were blown away. Even the elders of the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd levels of the Saint Realm were blown away. No, the supreme elders of the 4th and 5th levels of the Saint Realm were blown away. Seeing the invincible power of the 6 primordial destinies, all the disciples of the underworld took a breath of cold air. This is only the power of 6 primordial destinies. If Yang Xiaoshan cultivates to 7 or 8 primordial destinies, how strong will he be? Yanping, who was blown away by Master Ding, could not hide his surprise. An emperor realm actually frightened him, a 10th level god. Kill him. Yanping roared even more fiercely, his eyes full of crazy killing intent. His figure flashed, and the sword of the underworld in his hand rushed towards Yang Xiaoshan again. All disciples of the underworld listen to my order. Kill Yang Xiaoshan at all costs. Kill Yang Xiaoshan. I will reward you 1 trillion. 1 trillion. Hearing Yanping's words, all the disciples and masters of the underworld sect went crazy. Their eyes were red. When Yang Xiaoshan heard it, he laughed. Yanping, the treasure house of your underworld sect headquarters has been emptied by me. Where did you get 1 trillion to reward your disciples of the underworld sect? Yanping was stunned. The treasure house of the underworld sect headquarters was emptied? He couldn't believe it. I didn't expect that there would be so many 5-element spirit stones in your underworld sect treasury. Yang Xiaoshan smiled and said, "Thank you. This is the first time I have seen so many 5-element spirit stones. By the way, what I lack most recently is the Destiny Stone. You have more than a dozen in your underworld sect treasury. Thank you very much. When Yanping heard this, his blood surged and blood spurted out of his mouth. He yelled madly, Yang Zai Ocean, I will kill you. Kill, kill, kill. Kill Yang Zai Ocean for me. Whoever kills Yang Zai Ocean will own all the treasures on him. When Yanping was about to assassinate Yang Zai Ocean, suddenly, a roar shook the world, and an invincible force blasted Yanping away. It was Kang Xiang who attacked. At this time, Kang Xiang had transformed into a body of tens of millions of feet. With a giant claw like the ancient sacred mountain, the entire headquarters of Mingmen was shaking, and countless disciples of Mingmen were beaten into blood. Boom. Ding Yi bombarded and bombarded again. He bombarded Yanping into the ground. Ding Yi and Kang Xiang's double combo made the divine armor that Yanping had just put on explode completely. Kill. Kill Yang Zai Ocean. A powerful ancient ancestor of Mingmen roared, and then suddenly punched Yang Zai Ocean to kill him. This ancient ancestor of Mingmen was one of the strongest and undefeated war gods under the seat of Mingshan. Just as he was about to hit Yang Zai Ocean, suddenly, a sharp sword energy broke through the air and shattered the fist force. Everyone looked over and saw a middle-aged strong man in a dragon robe stepping into the air. The person who came was the strongest ancestor of Futu Empire. We are here to support your majesty. The old ancestor of the Futu Empire came to Yang Zai Ocean, bowed and said excitedly, Your Majesty is invincible. He was also frightened when he saw Yang Zai Ocean's 2,000,000-year soul rings. We are here to support your majesty. At this time, excited shouts rang out, and in the distance, groups of Futu Empire strongmen flew over. Even the leader of the Yunfeng sect and many old ancestors came. Okay, kill. Today, slaughter Yanping. Destroy the Mingmen. Yang Zai Ocean's cold voice spread throughout the Mingmen. Kill. The old ancestors of the Futu Empire and others all rushed towards the millions of disciples of the Mingmen. The shouts of killing shook the sky. Blood rained. Under the hazy moonlight, blood dyed the land of Mingmen red one after another. One mountain after another was blasted and collapsed. The Kangshan sword appeared in Yang Zai Ocean's hand. The Kangshan sword in the left hand and the Shenying sword in the right hand. At the same time, the sword of eternal night, the ancient thunder god sword, the thousand Buddha sword, the Samsara sword, and the sword of all things all floated around his body, turning into heavy sword energy, strangling the disciples of the underworld who rushed up one after another. 2 divine golden pills also flew out of his body. The heaven and earth shook. Seeing Yang Zai Ocean holding the Kangshen sword in his left hand and the divine shadow sword in his right hand, and the sword of eternal night, the ancient thunder god sword, the thousand Buddha sword, the Samsara sword, and the sword of all things all around him, everyone was shocked. Is this still a human? An old ancestor of the underworld was shocked. It is not easy to subdue a divine sword, and Yang Zai Ocean has subdued 7 divine swords. In fact, what they don't know is that Yang Zai Ocean has not yet summoned the strongest Tangshan divine sword. If they knew that Yang Zai Ocean now has 8 divine swords, I don't know what they would think. Yanping, who was abused by Ding Yi and Kang Xiang, looked at the divine swords floating around Yang Zai Ocean, and his face turned pale again. At this time, he felt desperate. As long as Yang Zai Ocean is in the Kangshen continent, the Mingmen will never make a breakthrough. What a terrifying supreme monster God created. 2 divine golden pills, 2,000,000-year soul rings, 2 supreme king martial spirits, an eternal divine body, 6 mixed primordial destinies, and now 7 divine swords. My god, can it be more evil? Kill. Kill Yang Zai Ocean, and take all the divine swords from him. Another ancient ancestor of the Mingmen roared, and with a wave of his hand, countless Mingmen disciples came to Yang Zai Ocean with swords. Seeing this, Yang Zai Ocean snorted coldly, and then everyone saw the 9-color sword heart in Yang Zai Ocean's body constantly lighting up. Soon, the 13th sword heart lit up. Then, it was the 14th sword heart. When the 14th sword heart lit up, the world was bright. At this moment, all corners of the world seemed to be illuminated by Yang Zai Ocean's 14th sword heart. 14 sword hearts. It's 14 sword hearts. Oh my god, I actually saw 14 sword hearts. 14 sword hearts are born. When seeing Yang Zai Ocean's 14 sword hearts, all the masters at the scene were excited, their blood was boiling, and some were even excited to tears. For all the sword masters, it is such an honor and shocking thing to see the 14 sword hearts born. However, since the Lord of Kangshen, there have been no 14 sword hearts in the Kangshen continent, let alone 14 sword hearts, not even 11 sword hearts. Now, they finally saw the 14 sword hearts born. Even many of the Mingmen masters at the scene were excited. It was hard to suppress their excitement. 14 sword hearts. 14 sword hearts. Many Mingmen ancestors murmured to themselves. At this moment, for a moment, they actually wanted to worship Yang Zai Ocean. Kang Xiang, the ancestor of the Futu Empire, was also excited when he saw Yang Zai Ocean's 14 sword hearts. Well, I didn't expect that your majesty would even succeed in cultivating the 14 sword hearts. Kang Xiang laughed, laughing heartily. His majesty Yang is invincible. His majesty Yang is invincible. The masters of the Futu Empire who came over one by one saw this scene and shouted excitedly. It seemed that only in this way could they vent their excitement. Just when everyone was shocked by Yang Zai Ocean's 14 sword hearts and excited about the birth of the 14 sword hearts, suddenly, the 9-color sword light in Yang Zai Ocean's body lit up again. The 15th sword heart. Awesome. Chapter 514 Brother Zai Ocean, King Xuan is here. When the 15th sword heart was born, the world became quiet. Everyone was dumbfounded, confused, and looked incredible. 15 sword hearts. An ancient ancestor of the underworld trembled. One by one, the strong men of the underworld were shocked and couldn't believe what they saw. It was the 15th sword heart. In this world, there are still 15 sword hearts? Isn't the limit of the world 14 sword hearts? Even Yanping, who was blown away by Master Ding, was dumbfounded. He even suspected that he was concussed by Master Ding and had hallucinations. Kang Xiang, the ancestor of the Futu Empire, was also stunned. They actually saw the unprecedented 15 sword hearts. Just when everyone was shocked and unbelievable, Yang Zai Ocean urged the power of the 15 sword hearts, and suddenly, the 15 sword hearts burst into light, and the world was dazzling. At this moment, the swords of all the masters of the underworld suddenly flew up, and all flew uncontrollably towards Yang Zai Ocean. I saw billions of swords gathered around Yang Zai Ocean, forming a huge river of flying swords. Kill. Yang Zai Ocean's eyes were fierce. Billions of flying swords shot out, instantly piercing through countless disciples of the underworld. Countless disciples of the underworld screamed. Kill. Everyone woke up again, and the screams of killing shook the sky. Yang Zai Ocean held the Kangshan sword and the Shenying sword, doing two things at once, with one hand holding the Kangshan sword technique and the other hand holding the Shenying sword technique. Countless sword ki burst out. Yang Zai Ocean's first move was bound to bring a heavy rain of blood. One by one, the disciples of the underworld were either shot through by the sword ki or directly exploded and flew away by the sword ki. At the same time, the ancient Thunder God sword, the Eternal Night sword, the Thousand Buddha sword, the Samsara sword, and the All Things sword floating around Yang Zai Ocean also burst out with heavy sword ki under the power of Yang Zai Ocean's 15 sword hearts. Yang Zai Ocean rushed into the crowd of disciples of the underworld. Wherever he passed, no disciple of the underworld could stop Yang Zai Ocean's sword ki. Sometimes, Yang Zai Ocean activated the power of the 2,000,000-year soul rings to crush the surrounding disciples of the underworld directly. Sometimes, Yang Zai Ocean activated the power of the 6 great mixed primordial destinies to blow away all the disciples of the underworld. Sometimes, Yang Zai Ocean activated the power of the eternal divine body, and with one sword, all the disciples of the underworld who were hit turned into grains of time sand. One man guarding the pass is more than invincible. Amid the roar of killing, more and more masters of the Futu Empire arrived. The masters of the Futu Empire who arrived were shocked when they saw Yang Zai Ocean's 2,000,000-year soul rings, the 6 great mixed primordial destinies, the divine swords around his body and the 15 sword hearts. Seeing Yang Zai Ocean killing his way in and out of the waves of disciples from the underworld, all the masters of the Futu Empire who arrived also shouted excitedly, "Kill Yang, my Emperor Kangshan. We will open a bloody road for His Majesty Yangshan." After seeing Yang Zai Ocean's 2 million-year soul rings and 15 sword hearts, all the masters of the Futu Empire who arrived were like chicken blood and rushed madly into the millions of disciples of the underworld, trying to share the combat power for Yang Zai Ocean, trying to share some of the disciples of the underworld for Yang Zai Ocean. Everyone was bloodthirsty. All the masters of the Futu Empire were fighting desperately. Ding Yi and Kang Xiang were still bombarding Yanping. This was what Yang Zai Ocean and Kang Xiang had agreed on long ago. This time, no matter the cost, they had to kill Yanping. As long as Yanping was killed, half of the hidden dangers of the Kangshan continent could be solved. Yanping was blasted with blood all over his body, but he still roared and laughed wildly. Yang Zai Ocean, I'm practicing the Dark God Cannon. You can't kill me. If I don't die today, I will use all kinds of methods to kill everyone around you for the rest of my life. Kill everyone around you. Let everyone around you live in endless terror and endless nightmares. Yanping laughed grimly. His voice condensed into a soul-stirring sound, drilling into the minds of all the masters of the Futu Empire who came. At this moment, the masters of the Futu Empire had all kinds of illusions. Wake up. At this moment, Kang Xiang shouted loudly, and the shout shook the sky, awakening all the masters of the Futu Empire. Yang Zai Ocean looked at Yanping, who was laughing grimly, and sneered. Really? But it's a pity that you haven't practiced the Dark God Cannon to the pinnacle. If the Dark God Cannon is practiced to the pinnacle, even if the head and body are separated, even if the body is broken into many sections, it can still be resurrected. This is the horror of the Dark God Cannon. Just like the undefeated Hades, even if his head and body are separated now, he can still be resurrected. So the Hades Gate masters tried every means to rescue his body. But Kang Xiang said that Yanping's Hades Gate divine scripture has not been cultivated to the pinnacle, and there is still half a step away from the pinnacle. Without this half step, Yanping has no chance of resurrection. So this time, Yanping must be killed no matter what. Otherwise, if he escapes this time, when he cultivates the Hades Gate divine scripture to the pinnacle, he will be the second undefeated Hades Gate, and it will be difficult to kill him then. The fight is still going on. There are too many Hades Gate disciples, pouring out from the continuous mountains, like a river of Hengsha, filling the sky and the ground. The masters of the Futu Empire who rushed over were constantly drowned, swallowed, and killed by the disciples of the Hades Gate. However, all the masters of the Futu Empire became more and more courageous. No one retreated, no one was afraid, and everyone tried their best to fight a bloody battle with the disciples of the Hades Gate. Yang Zai Ocean's 2 million-year soul rings, 6 mixed destiny, and 15 sword hearts killed all the disciples of the Underworld Gate, and left them lying dead. However, no matter how Yang Zai Ocean killed them, the disciples of the Underworld Gate continued to come from all directions and kill Yang Zai Ocean. Ding Yi and Kang Xiang joined forces and were invincible, blasting Yanping into the ground again and again. However, Yanping's defense and vitality were also very strong. After enduring many attacks from Ding Yi and Kang Xiang, he still rushed up to fight. The ancient ancestors of the Underworld Gate also gathered around Yanping and joined forces to shake Ding Yi and Kang Xiang. Although these ancient ancestors of the Underworld Gate were not as powerful as Yanping, they were also extremely powerful, and some were even comparable to the 4-star gods of the Kingdom of Stars. This battle was so fierce that the sky collapsed, and the earth split. The mountains and rivers were turned upside down, and the sun and the moon were dark. The earth was devastated. One by one, the masters of the Futu Empire died in the battle. But more masters of the Futu Empire came. The vast power has alarmed the Futu Empire and even the surrounding empires. One after another, the ancestors of the sects led their masters to rush over, and one after another, the ancestors of the families led their disciples to rush over. After all the masters arrived, they excitedly shouted that His Majesty Yang Shen was invincible, and then rushed into the millions of disciples of Mingmen with bloodshot eyes. This battle will surely be remembered by the Kangshan continent for thousands of years. Finally, the Beihua sword god of the Futu Empire also led the disciples of the Beihua divine sect to arrive. Long Kingsuan also came. Everyone was shocked and stunned when they saw the scene in front of them. All the disciples of the Behua divine sect were extremely shocked and excited when they saw Yang Xiaoshan's 2 million year soul rings, 6 mixed primordial destinies, and 15 sword hearts. Brother Xiaoshan, King Xuan is here. Long King Xuan was excited, holding the sword with tears in his eyes, and rushed towards Yang Xiaoshan desperately. Chapter 515 Who is invincible? Kill. The 100 Flowers Sword God only missed the dinosaur King Xuan, and they all rushed into the disciples of the underworld with swords in hand. Kill those sons of bitches from the underworld. The masters of the 100 Flowers divine sect were also excited, and rushed into the disciples of the underworld, shouting, who is invincible? Only our Majesty Yang Shen. Who is invincible? Only our Majesty Yang Shen. Hundreds of thousands of disciples of the 100 Flowers divine sect shouted excitedly, rushing and killing the disciples of the underworld madly. At this time, all the disciples of the 100 Flowers divine sect had forgotten what happened before. Some were just proud, and some were just supremely honored. They were proud to have a new master of the Kangshen like Yang Xiaoshan, and they were honored to fight side by side with the new master of the Kangshen, and kill the disciples of the underworld. Yang Xiaoshan had 2 million year soul rings on his head, and the power of the Lord of the Abyss and the Deep Sea Demon Kun was pushed to the extreme. He swung his 2 swords, and the power of the 15 sword hearts and the eternal divine body shone brightly in the sky, killing the invincible and unstoppable. He soared into the sky, and the Kangshan sword, the Shadow sword, the Ancient Thunder God sword, the Thousand Buddhas sword, the Eternal Night sword, the Samsara sword, and the All Things sword all burst out with 10,000 sword ki. Under the urging of the 15 sword hearts, the Kangshan sword technique, the Shadow sword technique, the Ancient Thunder God sword technique, the Thousand Buddhas sword technique, the Eternal Night sword technique, the Samsara sword technique, and the All Things sword technique all burst out with boundless sword ki at the same time. The 7 great swords and the 7 great sword arts performed the ultimate killing moves. The Kangshan Emperor ruled the world. The Shadowless sword ki killed people invisibly. The Thunder God was domineering. The Thousand Buddhas took you to hell. The Eternal Night was dark and boundless. One turn of the reincarnation was already a lifetime. All things were born in spring. Seeing Yang Xiaoshan surpassing the 9 heavens and the invincible power of the 7 great sword arts, everyone was shocked. What is invincible? This is invincible. Even Yanping and the ancient ancestors of the Hades Gate were deeply shocked. At this moment, the ancient ancestors of the underworld had an absurd idea in their hearts. If they could also fight side by side with His Majesty Yang Shen, what an honor it would be. Unfortunately, they stood on the opposite side of His Majesty Yang Shen. But, the 7 great sword forces fell with a bang. Countless disciples of the underworld flew. Some disappeared directly in the sky full of divine thunder and sword energy. Some disappeared in the boundless darkness. Some entered the reincarnation sword path. And some were burned by the 1,000 Buddhas. At this moment, suddenly, the giant palm of the ancient mountain of the Blue Bear directly slapped Yanping into the ground. Lord Ding almost fell at the same time, blasting the ancient ancestors of the underworld into the ground. The ancient ancestors of the underworld spurted blood, and looked at Lord Ding in horror. These ancient ancestors of the underworld, the divine armor of their bodies had long been broken, and even cracks and blood marks appeared on their bodies. Even if some of them were as strong as the 4 great star gods, they could not withstand Lord Ding's repeated bombardment. If they were bombarded by Lord Ding again, they would definitely be blown up. All the ancient ancestors of the underworld were desperate and unwilling. Master, let's retreat first. One of the ancient ancestors of the underworld sect could not help but persuade Yanping. Let's retreat first, rescue Lord Underworld, and then kill them without leaving a single piece of armor. Another ancient ancestor of the underworld sect also spoke anxiously. The other ancient ancestors of the underworld sect also looked at Yanping with hope. Yanping glanced at the scene. Although the disciples of the underworld sect had more people and still had the advantage, as masters from various sects and tribes of the Futu Empire continued to pour in, the advantage of the disciples of the underworld sect was gradually reduced. Yanping looked at Yang Xiaoshan, who was still fighting in and out of the crowd 3 times, with bloodshot eyes. However, just when he was about to shout retreat, suddenly, his eyes went dark, and he saw the giant palms of Lord Ding and Kang Xiang falling again. Yanping roared, and a divine shield flew out. This was the last divine shield on his body. Previously, he had been shattered by more than a dozen divine shields. If it weren't for the more than a dozen divine shields to resist, even if he had the body of the underworld god, he would not be able to resist the repeated attacks of Lord Ding and Kang Xiang. Boom. Ding Yi and Kang Xiang smashed the shield directly. Yang Ping was blown away. The ancient ancestors of Mingmen retreated in fear, but some were still half a step slower, and were directly blown up. Bang, bang and bang continued. Huge golden blood rain exploded. These ancient ancestors of Mingmen were all top level gods. Their blood was so terrifying that once they exploded, it was like a super nuclear bomb, and the surrounding Mingmen strongmen were blown away one after another. Die. Kang Xiang roared wildly, and his whole body swelled again. The originally grey fur became golden, and his huge palm slapped Yan Ping again without any gap. The invincible power enveloped the area around Yan Ping for thousands of miles. He saw that Yan Ping had already retreated. No matter what, he could not let Yan Ping escape. Just as Kang Xiang's body swelled again, Ding Yi also swelled again, and his whole body was full of golden flames, as if he was going to burn the sky. Ding Yi's boundless and vast power locked Yan Ping. Yang Ping's face changed greatly, and he felt an unprecedented strong sense of danger in his heart. It was as if the god of death was constantly walking towards him. He urged the Hades divine codex to the extreme, and the Hades sword in his hand burst out with an unprecedented Hades light. He had an extra piece of divine armor on his body, and slashed at Kang Xiang and Ding Yi frantically. At this moment, Ding Yi bombarded down. When Ding Yi bombarded down, the space was shaking violently, and the earth was cracking in horror. Before the bombardment, the terrifying power had already crushed the surrounding Hades god strongmen into a massive blood mist. Boom. Ding Kang and Kang Xiang fell. The Hades god sword in Yan Ping's hand was blown away. The Hades god sword key collapsed. The surrounding area exploded for countless miles, and the dust rolled. One by one, the Hades god ancestors were like flies in a violent hurricane, all shot away, all torn apart, and their internal organs were pulled into blood mist inch by inch. When all the dust cleared, Yan Ping was seen lying at the bottom of the huge pit, spitting blood. His divine armor exploded again, and his body was covered with bloodstains. But he managed to fly out of the huge pit, still trying to escape madly. However, as soon as he flew out of the huge pit, he was slapped back by Kang Xiang. Yang Ping fell heavily to the ground. At this moment, suddenly, a divine sword broke through the air and pierced Yan Ping's throat. It nailed Yan Ping to the ground completely. Yang Ping stared at the Kang Shen sword that pierced his throat. Master. The ancestors of the Mingmen roared sadly and wanted to rush over madly, but they were all swept away by Kang Xiang and the ancestors of the Futu Empire. Yang Xiaoshan flashed and came in front of Yan Ping. Yang Ping was lying on his back, still laughing loudly. His laughter was creepy. Yang Xiaoshan, even if I die, my millions of disciples of Mingmen will continue to kill you, will still kill everyone around you, and will still destroy Kangshan Mansion. My father will be resurrected one day. He will avenge me. Yang Xiaoshan's face was cold. He grasped the Kangshan sword, and with one stroke, he cut Yan Ping's neck. With blood splattering, Yan Ping's head rolled to the ground. I received your last words. Yang Xiaoshan said coldly, but your father will never be resurrected. When he subdues the first 3 divine fires, it will be the day when the undefeated Mengshan will be completely killed. Chapter 516 Leaving Kangshan Continent. Seeing Yan Ping's head rolling to the ground, millions of disciples of the underworld cried out in grief, Master. Yan Ping had led the underworld for countless years, and was the pillar of the underworld in the hearts of countless disciples of the underworld. But now, Yan Ping was dead, and the pillar of the underworld was completely shattered. Kill Yang Xiaoshan and avenge the master. An ancient ancestor of the underworld roared, and rushed towards Yang Xiaoshan frantically. However, before they arrived, they were directly slapped away by the blue bear. Kill Yang Xiaoshan threw Yan Ping's body into the Yellow Spring Corpse River Cauldron, and attacked the millions of disciples of the underworld again. The war was still going on. From night to dawn. From dawn to night again. The masters of the major sects and families of the Futu Empire and the surrounding empires were still rushing in quickly. The blood flowed like a river. The corpses piled up like a mountain. You couldn't even see the earth. At a glance, the earth was completely covered with blood and corpses. The sun set in dusk. Finally, the war ended. When the war ended, the mountains and rivers were shattered. The Hades Gate, which was originally full of mountains and forests, was now bare. There were no more mountains, no more rivers, and even no trees. The power of destruction was still raging on the earth. Yang Ocean stood there, his clean blue brocade robe stained with blood. On his head were 2 million-year soul rings, and the 6 great primordial destiny lights shone. Your Majesty, at this time, the ancestor of the Futu Empire came to Yang Ocean. How is it? Yang Ocean asked. No. The ancestor of the Futu Empire shook his head. We have searched all corners of the Hades Gate, but we haven't found the head of the Hades god. Yang Ocean frowned. Where did Yanping hide the head of the undefeated Hades god? What do those ancestors say? Yang Ocean asked. The ancestor of the Futu Empire shook his head. Those captured Mingmen ancestors said they didn't know. Kill them all. Yang Ocean said coldly. In addition, block the Futu Empire and kill all Mingmen disciples who are on the run. He wanted to cut the grass and root it out. Otherwise the remnants of Mingmen would disturb Kangshan again a million years later. The ancestor of the Futu Empire responded respectfully and ordered all captured Mingmen disciples to be executed and ordered the blockade of the Futu Empire. The night was finally over. The sky gradually brightened. The news that Yang Ocean and Kang Xiang broke into the Mingmen headquarters alone, wiped out the Mingmen headquarters, and killed Yanping, the son of Mingshan, spread quickly. The news that Yang Ocean had 2 million-year soul rings, 6 mixed destiny, and 15 sword hearts also spread quickly. The Kangshan continent was shaken, boiling, and worshipped. When the strong men in the cities heard the news, they all shouted excitedly, Your Majesty Yangshan is invincible. Your Majesty Yangshan is invincible. The voice resounded in every corner of the continent. Everyone cheered. Everyone was excited. Everyone was excited. In the past few years, the shadow of the Hades Gate has shrouded the Kangshan continent. Now, the Hades Gate has been destroyed. Yanping has died. The shadow has been swept away, and everyone in the Kangshan continent is celebrating. Many imperial capitals even carved statues of Yang Ocean for the world to admire. And Long Kingsuan snuggled up to Yang Ocean, and unknowingly, the sky had brightened. Looking at the rising sun, Yang Ocean suddenly said, Kingsuan, I may have to leave the Kangshan continent in a few days. Long Kingsuan, who was originally snuggling up to Yang Ocean, suddenly trembled. Over the years, she has been worried about this problem, worried that her brother Ocean will get farther and farther away from her, even though she has worked hard to practice and try hard to catch up. But when she looks back, Yang Ocean has become the 9 heavens dragon, and she is still on the ground. She suddenly hugged Yang Ocean tightly with both hands, tightly, her eyes red, and said, Brother Ocean, I will wait for you. If you don't come back for 2 years, I will wait for you for 2 years. If you don't come back for 3 years, I will wait for you for 3 years. If you don't come back for 10 years, I will go to find you, to the ends of the earth, until I find you. Then she murmured, I always remember the night I saw you in the Red Moon Forest, the smell of you, and the smell of barbecue. Yang Ocean also held Long Kingsuan's hand tightly. Long Kingsuan's hand was soft, as if it had no bones, but at this moment, it was a little cold. Kingsuan, are left just to become stronger, and protect the Kangshan continent, including you. Long Kingsuan's heart trembled, his eyes were full of tears, and he nodded again. After a moment, Yang Ocean flew up, and disappeared in the sunlight under Long Kingsuan's gaze. In the distance, the 100 Flowers Sword God stood there, watching this scene and sighed. She seemed to remember him back then, but that year, after he left, he never returned, and thousands of years had passed in the blink of an eye. Now, is he dead or alive? Yang Ocean left. Originally, Kang Xiang wanted to leave with him, but Yang Ocean asked Kang Xiang to continue to eliminate the escaped disciples of Mingmen, and asked him to search for the Corpse Demon Sect, Blood Demon Sect, and the nest of the Evil Buddha, and uproot the 3 major demon sects. He gave the bodies of Yanping, Corpse Demon and the other 4 to Kang Xiang, and asked Kang Xiang to take them back to Kangshan Mansion. As for him, he chose to go to an uninhabited place, and began to refine the 11-star god fruits and more than a dozen destiny godstones. Now, he is already the 6th level of the Emperor realm. After refining the 11-star god fruits and more than a dozen destiny godstones, his realm and strength will be able to soar again. Yang Xiaoshan sat cross-legged on the ground, swallowed the next star god fruit, and operated the ancient dragon art. Suddenly, the star god fruit turned into a rolling torrent, and under the operation of the dragon art, it was continuously transformed into Yang Xiaoshan's sea of true essence. Time passed. Several months passed in the blink of an eye. Yang Xiaoshan completely refined the 11-star god fruits. Yang Xiaoshan's strength has advanced by leaps and bounds, breaking through from the 6th level of the Emperor realm all the way, and finally breaking through to the early 9th level of the Emperor realm. However, he was not in a hurry to trigger the fate of the catastrophe, but continued to refine the fate of the divine stone, constantly consolidating his sea of divine world. After refining all the fate of the divine stones, Yang Xiaoshan's sea of divine world has become astonishingly solid. Yang Xiaoshan then triggered the 7th, 8th, and even 9th mixed fate of the catastrophe. After being abused by 3 rounds of 10-fold mixed fate of the catastrophe of the thunder, Yang Xiaoshan was abused to death. Fortunately, his eternal divine body is strong enough, and fortunately, his heavenly tribulation thunder water was not swallowed in vain over the years. Otherwise, he might really die. Now, 9 mixed fates are suspended above Yang Xiaoshan's head, and the vast mixed power covers an area of 100,000 miles, crushing everything and destroying everything. Not to mention the 7th and 8th levels of the Holy Realm, even the 9th level of the Holy Realm will be directly crushed. 9. Yang Xiaoshan looked at the 9 floating primordial destinies. He only needed 1 more to make 10. How powerful would 10 primordial destinies be? It is estimated that even the 10th level of the Saint Realm could not withstand the attack of 10 primordial destinies. If he cultivated 15 primordial destinies and the primordial destiny body was formed, how terrifying would it be? Yang Xiaoshan could not help but look forward to it. After swallowing the next mouthful of the 6th level heavenly tribulation thunder water and recovering from his injuries, Yang Xiaoshan flew to the remains of the Yellow Spring Demon sect. Next, he would use the Death God Tree to cultivate the Yellow Spring Divine Art and raise the Yellow Spring Divine Art to the 10th level. Chapter 517, the 10th level of Huanquan Divine Art. A few days later, Yang Xiaoshan came to the remains of Huanquan Demon Gate again. Seeing the familiar Huanquan demonic energy, Yang Xiaoshan did not hesitate, broke through it directly, and flashed in. Along the way, he encountered corpse ghosts, and Yang Xiaoshan directly crushed them with 9 mixed destiny. There was no danger along the way, and he came to the forbidden area of Huanquan Demon Gate, and then entered the entrance of the Corpse River. However, as soon as he entered the underground, Yang Xiaoshan sensed a familiar breath. What is this? Exclamation mark. Immortal Death. The voice of Master Ding sounded. It is indeed the Immortal Death. The Immortal Death actually escaped here. He was still worried about where to pull the Immortal Death out. Since he met him, even if he couldn't kill him this time, he would torture him half to death. Yang Xiaoshan asked Master Ding to block his breath, and followed the breath of the Immortal Death to the cave of the Huanquan Patriarch. Seeing that the Immortal Death was in the cave of the Huanquan Patriarch, Yang Xiaoshan immediately guessed that the other party had found the Death God Tree and used the Death God Tree to practice the Immortal God Canon. Sure enough, when he arrived in front of the Death Tree, he saw the Undying Death God sitting cross-legged under the Death Tree from a distance. The Undying Death Key around him rolled like the sea and turned into a terrifying Undying Dead Spirit. These Undying Dead Spirits actually had a faint vitality. Yang Xiaoshan's face turned cold. It seems that with the help of the Death Tree, the Undying Death God's Death Code has made another breakthrough and touched the peak realm of life and death. If the Undying Death God continues to practice, I'm afraid that in a few decades, Kang Xiang may not be able to suppress him. Yang Xiaoshan's guess was right. In the past few months, the Undying Death God has practiced the Death Code to the realm of life and death. Although it has only touched the threshold, it also makes the Undying Death God ecstatic. He didn't expect that when he came to the Huanquan Demon Gate ruins again this time, he actually found the Death Tree, and the effect of practicing under the Death Tree was beyond his expectation. Decades. In just a few decades, his undying code will be able to completely step into the realm of life and death. By that time, no one in the Kangshen continent could suppress him. The sky was so big and the earth was so big that he could kill anyone. He was going to kill people to his heart's content in the Kangshen continent. Just as the undead god of death was eagerly devouring the death energy of the death god tree, suddenly, a strong sense of danger arose in his heart. This danger was, when he suddenly opened his eyes, he saw a giant tripod that supported the sky. Seeing this familiar giant tripod that was burning with golden flames, the undead god of death turned pale and his face changed drastically. After being bombarded several times, Lord Ding was now his endless nightmare and the source of his mental terror. Without any thought, he broke through the air and fled, escaped from the death god tree. But how could he easily avoid Lord Ding's destructive blow? Boom. The undead god of death only felt that he was bombarded by the Hanghuang god mountain, and all the immortal death energy around him was blown up. He was in great pain all over his body, and his internal organs, bones, and even flesh and blood were shattered. He opened his mouth and blood spurted out. But he did not hesitate at all. He turned over from the ground, fled madly, and fled to the entrance of Huangquan Patriarch's cave. However, before he escaped to the gate of Huangquan Patriarch's cave, Ding Yi bombarded him again. The immortal death god was blown away again. Ding Yi turned into a stream of flames, and chased and bombarded again and again. He bombarded until he reached the outside of the Huangquan Demon Gate ruins, and then he stopped. Ding Yi turned into a stream of light, and returned to Huangquan Patriarch's cave. This time, he can't recover without decades. Ding Yi said. Hearing this, Yang Xiaoshan felt relieved. As long as the immortal death god can't make trouble in these decades, it will be fine. After decades, he has already achieved the realm of gods. At that time, he will personally deal with the immortal death god. So, Yang Xiaoshan came under the death god tree, sat down, and began to practice Huangquan divine art. As he practiced Huangquan divine art, the death god tree dropped a lot of death energy, which continued to flow into Yang Xiaoshan's body and continuously transformed into Huangquan true essence. Although the death energy of the death god tree is not as good as the death god fruit, after one day of practice, the yellow spring divine art still improves a lot, comparable to Yang Xiaoshan's usual practice of 10 or even dozens of days. In just a few days, Yang Xiaoshan's yellow spring divine art has improved significantly. There is no 60 years in the mountains, and before you know it, it is already autumn. Yang Xiaoshan sat cross-legged under the death tree, and the yellow spring energy in his body rolled and condensed into a huge yellow spring river. Suddenly, his whole body was shining. The yellow spring river burst into a strong gray light. Then, the vast yellow spring river continued to condense, and finally turned into a yellow spring divine armor, covering Yang Xiaoshan, as if born. Entering the 10th level of the yellow spring divine art, the yellow spring energy can condense into the yellow spring divine armor with amazing defense. After practicing for a while, Yang Xiaoshan stopped. Opening his eyes, he was happy. The yellow spring divine art finally reached the 10th level. Now, he can refine the eternal heaven coffin. However, before refining the eternal heaven coffin, Yang Xiaoshan walked to the stone tablet in the main hall of Huangquan Patriarch's cave, placed his palms in front of the stone tablet, and activated the 10th level of Huangquan divine art. Suddenly, the stone tablet shone brightly. Then, the entire cave burst into light. Now, he has practiced Huangquan divine art to the 10th level, and can refine the cave left by Huangquan Patriarch. The death god tree is already connected to the cave. Since he can't move the death god tree, he will just move the cave away. When the light of the cave became stronger and stronger, and the whole cave was bright, suddenly, the cave kept shrinking, and fell into Yang Xiaoshan's hands together with the death god tree. Yang Xiaoshan put the Huangquan cave into the Huangquan corpse river cauldron. In the future, with the death god tree, his Huangquan divine art will be expected to be practiced to the 14th level or even surpass the Huangquan Patriarch of that year. Moreover, if the death god tree is taken away, there is no need to worry about the immortal death god coming here to practice with the death god tree in the future. After taking away the Huangquan cave and the death tree, he took out the eternal heavenly coffin. Looking at the most evil, and terrifying ancient artifact in front of him. Yang Xiaoshan activated the Huanquan divine art and printed his palm on the eternal heavenly coffin again. The Huanquan key continuously poured into the eternal heavenly coffin. The extremely evil power in the heavenly coffin seemed to feel the Huanquan key on Yang Xiaoshan. This time, it did not attack Yang Xiaoshan again. However, although this extremely evil power did not attack Yang Xiaoshan, it kept resisting the Huanquan key, making Yang Xiaoshan's Huanquan key unable to refine the eternal heavenly coffin. Seeing this, Yang Xiaoshan could only refine the extremely evil power, but the defense of the extremely evil power was beyond Yang Xiaoshan's imagination. After one day, he could not break the opponent's defense at all. Yang Xiaoshan did not believe in evil, and continued to refine. After 2 days, it was still the same. After 3 days, he still could not break the opponent's defense. Chapter 518, Temple of Destiny. Although you have cultivated the Yellow Spring Divine Art to the 10th level, it will take some time to refine the eternal heavenly coffin. Ding Yi's voice sounded. Yang Xiaoshan was stunned. If you continue to cultivate like this, it will take at least a year to refine that evil power in the eternal heavenly coffin. Ding Yi said. Yang Xiaoshan was stunned. A year! Exclamation mark. He couldn't just stay in this year and do nothing, not even cultivate, and then try his best to destroy the eternal heavenly coffin, right? A year of hard cultivation would be enough for him to break through to the Saint Realm, or even a higher realm. Is there no other way? Yang Xiaoshan asked. Cultivate the Yellow Spring Divine Art to the 11th level. Ding Yi said. Yang Xiaoshan was speechless. Even if he used the Death God Tree, it would take at least a few years for him to cultivate the Yellow Spring Divine Art to the 11th level. That would take even longer. With no other choice, Yang Xiaoshan could only drive the spaceship to leave first. I wonder if the Temple of Destiny has treasures that can improve the Yellow Spring Divine Art. Yang Xiaoshan thought of the Temple of Destiny that would be opened in a few months. There shouldn't be any treasures that can improve Huanquan Divine Art, but there are sands of time, said Ding Yi. Sands of time. Yang Xiaoshan was surprised. Yes, sands of time. Ding Yi said, the sands of time and the treasure house of the Star Palace should be what Emperor Yunshan got in the Temple of Destiny. Yang Xiaoshan was excited. After he refined the sands of time and the treasure house of the Star Palace, his eternal body improved a lot, but it was still a long way from the minor success. If he could get enough sands of time, his eternal body would be expected to be improved to the minor success. The Temple of Destiny was left by the ancient goddess of destiny. There are not only sands of time, but also many treasures in it, and even the God Tree of Destiny, said Ding Yi. The God Tree of Destiny. Yang Xiaoshan was shocked. The God Tree of Destiny is the most magical tree in the world. Whether it is the God Tree of Life, the God Tree of Death, or even the God Tree of Stars, they are far from being comparable to the God Tree of Destiny. The God Tree of Destiny gave birth to the God Fruit of Destiny. Swallowing the God Fruit of Destiny can temper destiny. Only the Destiny Fruit can refine destiny. Other divine objects cannot. If Yang Xiaoshan can get the Destiny Fruit, he can refine his 9 Hunyuan destinies and make his Hunyuan destinies stronger and more solid. After leaving the Huanquan Demon Gate ruins, Yang Xiaoshan returned to the 10,000 Gods Empire. He is about to leave the Kangshen continent. No matter what, he must tell the Kangshen mansion, and he also has to go back to the mansion of the gods to say goodbye to his parents. This time he will leave the Kangshen continent for a few years or even 10 years. Seeing His Majesty Yang Shen return, Zheng Yangjiang, Sword Godzilla and others are all delighted, looking at Yang Xiaoshan with stars in their eyes. After the news of Yang Xiaoshan's battle with the Underworld Gate spread, it shocked the Kangshen continent. The 2 million year soul rings, the 6 Hunyuan destinies, and the 15 sword hearts shocked many people. Even Zheng Yangjiang and the Sword Godzilla are no exception. Now the two are almost Yang Xiaoshan's little fans. Not to mention the other strong men in the Kangshen mansion. His Majesty Yang Shen is back. An ancient ancestor shouted excitedly. Suddenly, countless old ancestors, ancient ancestors, and disciples rushed out from the mountains and caves. Zenkai and Qian and Wanning also came out, and their beautiful eyes were full of surprise and excitement. The admiration in Wanning's eyes was hot, as if it had just come out of the oven. Yang Xiaoshan looked at the countless disciples pouring out from the mountains and caves, and couldn't help but smile bitterly. The excitement, and fanaticism of the crowd were beyond his expectation. Knocked to see His Majesty Yang Shen. Almost every mountain and cave where Yang Xiaoshan passed by, the disciples knelt excitedly. Surrounded by Zheng Yangjiang, Sword Godzilla and others, Yang Xiaoshan sat on the main seat of the hall and chatted with everyone. Yang Xiaoshan asked about the situation of the 4 major demon sects, the Nethergate and the Corpse Demon sect. Yang Xiaoshan then knew that the Kangshen Mansion had found the headquarters of the Corpse Demon sect, the Blood Demon sect, and the Evil Buddhism, and had wiped out the 3 major demon sects. The leader of the Corpse Demon sect, Liang Zuan, and others have all been killed. As for the remnant of the Dark Gate, they have almost been surrounded and killed. Now the Kangshen continent is peaceful. By the way, Your Majesty, we have received news that the immortal death god and the ancient heart demon have escaped from the Kangshen continent. Zheng Yangjiang said, some people say that they have entered the Boundless Sea. Entered the Boundless Sea? Yang Xiaoshan was surprised. Yes, overseas masters have seen their traces. Zheng Yangjiang said. Emperor Yunshan summoned the emperors of various countries overseas and dispatched a large army. He has been accumulating strength and wants to send troops to our Kangshen continent. Sword Godzilla said, Immortal Death God and Ancient Heart Demon are not going to form an alliance with Emperor Yunshan? If so, it would be quite troublesome. I will go to the Star God Island again in a few days. Yang Xiaoshan pondered. Since Emperor Yunshan is going to gather a large army to attack the Kangshen continent, he will go to the Star God Island again to give Emperor Yunshan a hard blow. Anyway, he is going to the 10,000 Swords continent, which is also on the way. Everyone talked a lot. Yang Xiaoshan learned from Zheng Yangjiang that Deng Liangsheng of Deng Liang Chamber of Commerce had been found and rescued from overseas countries. The next day, Yang Xiaoshan left Kangshen Mansion and returned to the Mansion of the Gods. Yang Xiaoshan was going to Wanjian continent, and he also told Zheng Yangjiang and others. When they learned that Yang Xiaoshan was going to Wanjian continent, Zheng Qian and Wanning were both gloomy and depressed. Especially Wanning, who ran to Yang Xiaoshan's cave at night with red eyes. After returning to the Mansion of the Gods, Yang Xiaoshan stayed for a few days, and then flew away from the capital of the 10,000 gods in the reluctance of the Yang family. Brother, we'll wait for you to come back. The girl Yang Linga kept shouting. Even though Yang Xiaoshan's figure had disappeared, she was still shouting. This time Yang Xiaoshan left without taking anyone. Even the Dark Dragon and the Demon Ape stayed in the Mansion of the Gods. Driven by the Holy Spirit Stone, the Abyss spaceship quickly entered the Boundless Sea, and then kept approaching the Star God Island. On the way, Yang Xiaoshan was not idle for a moment. With the help of the Death Tree and the Life Tree, he worked hard to practice the Huanquan Divine Art and the Ancient Dragon Art. At the same time, he tried to practice the 2 techniques at the same time. If he could practice the 2 techniques at the same time, his practice speed would be improved again. Occasionally, he would read the notes and techniques left by the Huanquan Patriarch, and read the techniques of the Mingmen. From the notes left by the Huanquan Patriarch, he knew a lot about the ancient times. And he knew the origin of the Huanquan Patriarch. It turned out that the Huanquan Patriarch was not from the Kangshen continent, but from an extremely distant continent, which was also the most powerful continent in the Wuhan world. The night was quiet. The starry island was in sight. The starry capital was brightly lit. Emperor Yunshan sat in the main hall, looking at Lanjin, the Big Dipper god, with a gloomy face, and laughed angrily. What did you say? Ask for peace with Yang Xiaoshan? You mean to say that my son died in vain? My star palace's millions of guards, thousands of ancestors, and ancient ancestors died in vain. Lanjin lowered his head. Your Majesty. Okay, there's nothing to say. Emperor Yunshan stood up suddenly, his eyes cold. This time, I must attack and destroy the capital of 10,000 gods and the Kangshen Mansion. Let the Yang family and the Kangshen Mansion be buried with my son. Let my star palace's millions of guards be buried with them. Chapter 519. The Star Island is gone. As soon as Emperor Yunshan said this, he suddenly saw the night sky become bright with golden light. Just when Emperor Yunshin was puzzled, he heard the masters of the Kingdom of Stars outside shouting in fear, "Enemy attack! Enemy attack!" Emperor Yunshin and Lanjin's masters changed their expressions and flew up into the air. They saw Ding Yi, who was supporting the sky, with golden flames burning all over his body, and he blasted down in an instant. Feeling the power of Ding Yi to destroy the world, Emperor Yunshin looked at Yang Ocean in the sky, and his heart was filled with hatred. He roared, "Yang Ocean, I'll fuck your mother." He slashed with the heaven-shaking divine sword in his hand. Millions of heaven-shaking sword kiss slashed wildly at Ding Yi and Yang Ocean. Boundless divine power and imperial power rose from Emperor Yunshin. The 4 great star gods of Lanjin also roared at the same time, holding up their monstrous divine power and blasting wildly at Ding Yi. All the ancestors and ancient ancestors of the surrounding Kingdom of Stars roared and attacked. The world-destroying power was overwhelming and soaring into the sky. The sky and the earth changed color. At this moment, the sky and the earth were bright, and the entire Star Island and even the surrounding seas were bright. Boom. Lord Ding fell, shaking the sky with sword energy. The overwhelming power of the 4 star gods Lanjin, and all the ancestors of the Star Kingdom, all the ancient ancestors' world-destroying power were destroyed. Even if the Star Kingdom had nearly 10,000 gods and hundreds of thousands of saints' power to destroy the sky, they still couldn't stop Lord Ding. Lord Ding was bombarded with clanging sounds. But that was all. The power of the people in the Star Kingdom seemed to be bombarded on the Chaos God Mountain, and it couldn't be shaken at all. Seeing that Lord Ding couldn't be shaken at all, and continued to bombard, both Di Yunshin and Lanjin changed their faces. What on earth is this giant tripod? How could there be such a terrifying existence? Even the Lord of the Abyss would be bombarded against the nearly 10,000 gods and hundreds of thousands of saints in the Star Kingdom. This giant tripod can't be bombarded. Retreat. Emperor Yunshin roared, and the silver dragon divine fork appeared in his hand, suddenly soaring into the sky, and continued to hit Ding Yi with one fork, trying to block Ding Yi's attack of destroying the sky. At this moment, all the strong men in the Kingdom of Stars retreated frantically. Boom. When Emperor Yunshin's silver dragon divine fork hit Ding Yi, a force so powerful that he could not imagine came, and the silver dragon divine fork was instantly shaken away. Emperor Yunshin was blasted into the ground below like a meteor. Countless palaces on the ground below were instantly reduced to ashes. Bang! Ding Yi smashed on the ground below. The heavy destructive power spread at a terrifying speed like ripples, and buildings and cities collapsed like mud and sand, turning into powder. The 4 blue and gold star gods, a group of ancestors, ancient ancestors, and Emperor Yunshin were blasted into the ground. Countless armies were blasted into the ground. Emperor Yunshin soared into the sky, roaring angrily, like a mad lion, and punched Yang Ocean with both fists desperately. Yang Ocean, fuck your uncle. Since he couldn't kill Master Ding, he would kill Yang Ocean regardless of everything. However, before his attack could hit Yang Ocean, he was blasted into the earth again by Master Ding, who soared into the sky. In recent years, Master Ding swallowed Yang Ocean's 6-fold heavenly tribulation thunderwater every day. The trauma he suffered that year has recovered a lot. The stronger his strength is, the stronger it is than when he killed the Lord of the Abyss. How could Emperor Yunshin, Lanjin and others resist it? When Master Ding bombarded again, the entire Starry God Island trembled violently, and a terrifying rift ran through the entire God Island at an astonishing speed. The Starry God Island, which was like a continent, actually broke in the middle. It was divided into 2 halves. The Starry Island has existed since ancient times. Over the past million years, it has been continuously consolidated by masters of the Starry Kingdom using various methods. It is said that even the most powerful gods cannot shake it. But now, it has been broken. Emperor Yunshin, covered in blood, rushed up from the earth, looking at the Starry Island that was broken into 2 halves, as if the sky was collapsing. Even when the Starry Palace was destroyed, even when he learned that his son was killed, and thousands of ancestors and ancient ancestors died, he did not feel the sky was collapsing. Now, he felt that the sky was collapsing. The Starry Island is a pilgrimage site for 100,000 major countries overseas. Now, it is broken into 2 halves. Can it be repaired? What responded to Emperor Yunshin was the huge waves that rushed up from the fracture. Yang's Ocean, I will never reconcile with you. Emperor Yunshan's eyes were bloodshot, and he roared, I swear to kill you in this life. Having said this, he rushed towards Yang's Ocean again. The 4 star gods of Lanjin were seriously injured and vomited blood. They came out from underground and looked at the broken Star God Island and the countless destroyed cities, palaces, and armies. They wanted to cry, but had no tears. He had long advised their majesties to seek peace with the Kangshen continent and Yang's Ocean. But their majesties insisted on attacking the Kangshen continent and insisted on destroying the capital of the 10,000 gods and killing everyone in the Yang family. Now, it's too late to say anything. Blood dyed the Star God Island red. It dyed the surrounding seas red. At this time, Di Yunshan, who rushed towards Yang's Ocean, was blasted into the ground again by Masterding. The broken Star God Island shook violently again, and countless fine cracks appeared, and it was crumbling. The 4 people of Lanjin were terrified. If the bombardment continued like this, the Star God Island would be sunk sooner or later, not to mention breaking. As if confirming the panic of the 4 Lanjin people, when Emperor Yunshan rushed up again and killed Yang's Ocean, he was blasted into the ground again. The Star Island was shaking like a capsized ship and fell into the boundless sea. The boundless sea was smashed by thousands of huge waves. It's gone. Lanjin and the other 4 looked at the sunken Star Island, their faces pale and their minds blank. The Star Island is gone. Many masters of the Star Kingdom collapsed, and some even cried, die. Emperor Yunshan still rushed up to the sky, with his monstrous divine power and imperial power undiminished, and madly killed Yang's Ocean. However, no matter how furious he was, and how he rushed, he was always blasted away by Lord Ding. This time, he was blasted into the boundless sea by Lord Ding. After 10 bombardments, Lord Ding stopped. Seeing Emperor Yunshan and the Star Island being completely blasted into the seabed, Emperor Yunshan disappeared again, and Yang's Ocean and Lord Ding broke through the air and left. After a long time, the 4 blue and gold star gods pulled the seriously injured Emperor Yunshan out from the depths of the sea. After Yang's Ocean left, he drove the Abyss spaceship to the Destiny Island, where the Temple of Destiny was located. However, although the Destiny Island is above the boundless sea, it is already very close to the Wanjian continent. The journey is not short. On the way, Yang's Ocean continued to practice Huanquan divine art and Shilingju. However, what surprised him was that the immortal death god and the ancient heart demon were not on the Star Island. The 2 entered the boundless sea, not to form an alliance with Emperor Yunshan. If not, where did the 2 go? Suddenly, he thought of the Temple of Destiny. Wouldn't the immortal death god and the ancient heart demon also come for the Temple of Destiny? This is hard to say. After all, the Temple of Destiny has the Destiny Tree and the Destiny Fruit. In addition to tempering destiny, the Destiny Fruit is also a healing artifact. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 520, Only a Draw. Thinking that the immortal death god and the ancient heart demon were most likely to come for the Temple of Destiny, Yang's Ocean's eyes were cold. If he met the 2 again, he would definitely treat them well again. Driven by the Holy Spirit Stone, the Abyss spaceship kept approaching the Island of Destiny. Every half a month, Yang's Ocean swallowed a second Tribulation Heaven grade Emperor pill to practice. However, after breaking through to the 9th level of the Emperor realm, the effect of the second Tribulation Heaven grade Emperor pill was greatly reduced. So Yang's Ocean was thinking about finding the 4th Divine Fire and refining the 3rd Tribulation Heaven grade pill. The effect of the 3rd Tribulation Heaven grade pill is much better than that of the 2nd Tribulation Heaven grade pill. If you break through to the 10th level of the Emperor realm, you will need the 3rd Tribulation Heaven grade pill. Otherwise, within a year, I'm afraid that I will not be able to carry 15 mixed primordial destinies. A month later, the Island of Destiny was finally in sight. In the distance, a large island was suspended on the sea. Under the refraction of the sun, it emitted a piece of green light, shining the sky above the sea with a piece of green, which was very beautiful. However, a layer of light barrier was covering the sky above the divine island. Only when the Temple of Destiny was opened would this barrier dissipate and everyone could enter the island. So Yang Xiaoshan could not enter the island yet. Since the Temple of Destiny was still 2 months away from opening, Yang Xiaoshan did not wait any longer and flew to the Wanjian continent. After all, it was not far from the Wanjian continent. Even if he did not use the Abyss spaceship, he could reach the Wanjian continent in about a day at his speed. He had been thinking about the Wanjian continent for a long time. He wanted to see what the Wanjian continent where the Tangshan divine religion was located looked like. By the way, he wanted to learn about the current situation of the Tangshan divine religion in the Wanjian continent. According to his senior brother, the Green Lotus Sword God, the current situation of the Tangshan divine religion was not very good. In the thousands of years since his master, the Lord Hanfeng, left, the Tangshan divine religion was divided into 3 forces. Therefore, it was still difficult for him to take charge of the Tangshan divine religion. Of course, if he had already achieved the realm of gods, it would not be difficult to subdue the gods of the Tangshan divine religion. But now, he was only in the emperor realm, and his strength was still a little weak. One day later, Yang Xiaoshan finally saw the Wanjian continent. Looking from the sea, there were endless cities, beautiful mountains and clear waters, countless spaceships, and many huge ships docked on the shore. Some of these huge ships belonged to the Wanjian Continent Chamber of Commerce, and some belonged to some super families. Yang Xiaoshan flew to the shore and walked into the coastal city. He saw a lot of traffic and prosperity. After passing through the city, he walked leisurely. He came to an inconspicuous small mountain village. The small mountain village was not big, and the smoke from cooking was curling. At this time, the sun had set, and under the setting sun, the mountain village was quiet. The mountains and forests were picturesque, and there was a different kind of beauty. When passing by the small mountain village, a child caught Yang Xiaoshan's attention. The child was 8 or 9 years old, and should have awakened his martial spirit for 1 or 2 years. He had just started to learn martial arts. There he held a wooden sword and waved it, flowing like clouds and water, and was full of vigor. Yang Xiaoshan smiled and remembered the scene when he was a child learning Tekai Sutra in the back mountain. Over the years, although he mainly studied the ancient dragon art, he never gave up the Tekai Sutra and would still practice it sometimes. The child was practicing a postnatal sword technique. Suddenly, the other party stopped and looked at Yang Xiaoshan warily. "Who are you?" "A passerby." Yang Xiaoshan smiled and said, "Little friend, who taught you this sword technique? You practiced it well." He could see that the other party's sword technique had reached the peak of great success and was close to perfection. At this age, it was very good to be able to practice a postnatal sword technique to this level. Of course, he was not as good as him. When he entered the Divine Sword Academy, at this age, he had already comprehended all the 100 stone swords of the Divine Sword Academy. The child was a little proud when Yang Xiaoshan praised his swordsmanship and said, "Of course my master taught me this fierce snake swordsmanship. My master is very powerful. He is a very powerful swordsman. He has been invincible in the world." Yang Xiaoshan smiled when he heard it. Really? However, he was not satisfied with what the child said. "Of course, my master is the most powerful," the child said with admiration. "Little brother, don't listen to this kid's nonsense." At this time, a middle-aged man with extraordinary temperament walked out of the village. The other party had 3 strands of beard and looked elegant. Obviously, the middle-aged man was the master mentioned by the child. "I'm not talking nonsense." The child pouted. The middle-aged man came over, clasped his fists to Yang Xiaoshan and smiled. "My name is Jianlin. May I know what your name is?" "Yang Xiaoshan." Yang Xiaoshan clasped his fists. "So it's Brother Yang. Brother Yang, are you passing by? It's getting late, and it's fate to meet. Otherwise, come to my house and sit down." The middle-aged man said friendly. "Okay." Yang Xiaoshan nodded. He could see that Jianlin had an extraordinary origin, but why did he live in seclusion in this inconspicuous little village? After arriving at the other party's house, the other party poured tea for Yang Xiaoshan. The tea was good tea and very fragrant. After a while of chatting, Jianlin said, "To be honest, Brother Yang, I passed by here a few years ago. I saw that this place was nice, with beautiful mountains and rivers, so I stayed. Zio-1 is a talented kid, so I accepted him as my disciple, and taught him swordsmanship. By the way, wait for the opening of the Temple of Destiny. The Temple of Destiny. Yang Zio-Ocean was surprised. I didn't expect that the other party also came for the Temple of Destiny. Brother Yang also knows the Temple of Destiny? Jianlin was a little surprised to see Yang Zio-Ocean's reaction. I know. Yang Zio-Ocean nodded and said, the Temple of Destiny was left by the Goddess of Destiny and opens once every 10 years. Then he smiled and said, in fact, I also came for the Temple of Destiny. Jianlin was surprised and then laughed. What a coincidence. Then he said, however, the Temple of Destiny is about to open. Yancheng has been very lively recently. Many masters from various sects have come to Yancheng. These people are all here for the Temple of Destiny. Yancheng is the coastal city that Yang Zio-Ocean just passed by. The two talked freely, from the south to the north, and even talked about swordsmanship. What surprised Yang Zio-Ocean was that the other party had a high understanding of swordsmanship and was very proficient in various swordsmanship. Yang Zio-Ocean was surprised, and Jianlin was even more surprised. The boy in front of him, who looked only 16 or 17 years old, had a high understanding of swordsmanship, which was far beyond his expectations. The two even started to fight on the spot. Neither of them used their true energy, but only compared their moves and countered each other's moves. What surprised Jianlin was that Yang Zio-Ocean could actually fight him on equal terms. He was surprised at first, then shocked, and finally solemn. He was a great sword god. He was a sword god without using his true energy, but he only fought a 16 or 17-year-old boy to a draw. His disciple Zio-1 was also stunned. Didn't his master say that he was invincible? How could he only fight a brother who was a few years older than him to a draw? Was his master bragging or lying to him? Chapter 521 Sword God List. Feeling the look in the eyes of his disciple Zio-1, Jianlin's face flushed. He couldn't help but use all his strength to attack Yang Zio-Ocean. He even used some of his best skills. Sword pointing to the 10,000 gods. But the sword pointing to the 10,000 gods was useless. Yang Zio-Ocean still took it easily. Sword suppressing Jiazhao. Jianlin even shouted. But the sword suppressing Jiazhao was still useless. The sword suppressed Jiazhao, but it couldn't suppress Yang Zio-Ocean. Yang Zio-Ocean stood there, as solid as the ancient sacred mountain. No matter how many swords you have, he only has one sword. Sword shocks all realms. Jianlin shouted again. His two fingers were like swords, and he moved the sword like a god. The surrounding space roared and made endless noises, but when he bombarded Yang Zio-Ocean, he was still easily blocked by Yang Zio-Ocean. Jianlin shouted again and again, and his moves were as fast as lightning, but Yang Zio-Ocean was not slower than him. He was fast, and Yang Zio-Ocean was faster. The two fought faster and faster, and their hands left a trail of after images in the space. Jianlin's originally solemn face became shocked. Who is this young man surnamed Yang? He even used his best sword skills, but he couldn't defeat the opponent. Not to mention defeating him, the opponent didn't even retreat. Young brother Yang, be careful. Jianlin reminded him. Suddenly, his gesture slowed down, and he pointed at Yang Zio-Ocean's chest. This finger was ever changing. Even many of his old friends couldn't take his move. And when he used this move, Jianlin merged with the surrounding world. Just when Jianlin's sword finger was about to hit Yang Zio-Ocean, suddenly, Yang Zio-Ocean stretched out his two fingers, like an ancient sacred mountain lying between heaven and earth. Block Jianlin's sword finger. No matter how Jianlin's sword finger changed, it couldn't break. Jianlin looked at Yang Zio-Ocean, but was shocked. Heaven and man are one. He just used this attack to merge into the world, but the boy in front of him actually merged into the world. He is a generation of sword god, and it is not surprising that he is one with heaven and man, but the boy in front of him actually realized the unity of heaven and man. The two fought, going back and forth, completely forgetting themselves. When Jianlin stopped, he found that it was already daybreak. The two had been fighting all night without realizing it. He looked at Yang Zio-Ocean, and in shock, he laughed heartily. Awesome. It's so refreshing. Brother Yang's swordsmanship is really the best I have ever seen in my life. This was what he said from the heart. He had never fought so hard before. Although he did not use his true energy, it was still very refreshing. Jianlin laughed again. I, Jianlin, have only admired 3 people in my life, and Brother Yang is the 4th. Yang Xiaoshan clasped his fists and smiled. Brother Jian, you are too kind. Jianlin's swordsmanship is so high that he is ranked in the top 10 among the people Yang Xiaoshan knows. It is already very powerful to be ranked in the top 10. After all, Yang Xiaoshan has been in contact with Kang Xiang, the immortal death god, and Yi Yunshan. Just when Jianlin was about to speak, he heard footsteps in the distance and saw a tall, oval-faced, and beautiful woman with fair skin walking over. Xiao Wan was very happy to see the beautiful woman and ran over to her. Sister Lu. Lu Yutong smiled sweetly. Xiao Wan. Then she came to Jianlin and said respectfully, "Meet Lord Nanshan." Nanshan? Yang Xiaoshan's heart moved. Nanshan should be Jianlin's name. There are countless sword masters in Wanjian continent, and there are many more sword gods than those in Kangshen continent. It is said that there are hundreds of sword gods. Among the 100 sword gods on the sword god list, there is one called Nanshan sword god. It seems that it is Jianlin in front of him. Nanshan sword god ranks very high even among the 100 sword gods on the sword god list. Of course, the first on the sword god list is his master Han Feng Shenzhou. The status of his master Han Feng Shenzhou in Wanjian continent cannot be shaken by anyone. No one can shake it at all. Seeing that it was Lu Yutong, Jianlin nodded and smiled. "Lu girl, your old man asked you to come again, right?" Lu Yutong lowered her head and smiled. The ancestor just got some Lang Hu tea from Lord Shen Lang. Knowing that Lord Nanshan likes to drink tea, he asked me to send some over. At this point, he handed it to Xiao Wan. Jianlin's eyes lit up and smiled. "Thank your old man for me." Lu Yutong smiled. "Lord Nanshan is polite." Then he said, the ancestor said that he brewed a batch of fruit wine and opened it today. He wanted to invite Lord Nanshan to taste it, but I don't know if Lord Nanshan is free. Jianlin smiled. "Oh, the fruit wine brewed by your old man is finally going to be opened, so I have to try it." Then he smiled to Yang Xiaoshan. "Brother Yang, the fruit wine brewed by old man Lu is not bad. How about we go and try it together?" "Okay." Yang Xiaoshan nodded and smiled. Lu Yutong's pretty face was happy when she heard Jianlin's agreement. It is very difficult to invite the sword god of the south sky. Their ancestors must be very happy to be able to invite him this time. At the same time, she looked at Yang Xiaoshan with curiosity. When she first came, she heard Jianlin laughing from a distance and said that Brother Yang's swordsmanship was the best I had ever seen in my life. This boy who looked only 16 or 17 years old could actually be praised by the sword god of the south sky. So, Lu Yutong happily invited Jianlin, Yang Xiaoshan, and Xiao Wan all the way to the Lu family. The Lu family was not in Yuncheng, but on a plain not far from Yuncheng. There were many palaces and magnificent momentum. Upon learning that Jianlin was coming, the ancestor of the Lu family, Lu Zifan, happily came out to greet him from a distance. He could hear his laughter from a distance. With his extreme enthusiasm, he invited Jianlin, Yang Xiaoshan and the other 2 into the Lu family hall. After everyone sat down, Lu Zifan immediately asked someone to bring up the fruit wine he brewed, and then opened it. Suddenly, the aroma of the wine filled the air, making people want to get drunk. Jianlin smiled at Yang Xiaoshan and said, "Brother Yang, this fruit wine was brewed by old man Lu using more than 100 kinds of rare medicinal materials, one of which is the 10,000-year-old red fruit from the Monster Mountain. You should try it." Seeing Jianlin's different attitude towards Yang Xiaoshan, Lu Zifan was curious and asked with a smile, "Who is this little brother?" "I'm Yang Xiaoshan." Yang Xiaoshan clasped his fists. Jianlin smiled at Lu Zifan and said, "Brother Yang's swordsmanship is very high. Your Lu family's Lu Jiang may not be his opponent." Lu Zifan smiled and did not comment. Obviously, he did not agree with Jianlin's words. Lu Jiang is the first swordsmanship genius of the Lu family's generation, and one of the 9 young emperors of Kangzhou. His swordsmanship talent is so high that even Lord Shen Lang sighs that he is inferior to him. He did not discuss this topic any further and smiled at Jianlin. "I got a sword manual. This sword manual has a great origin. It was left by Lord Shen Meng in the past, but I have never been able to open it. I want you to help me take a look." Hearing that it was left by Lord Shenmeng, Jianlin could not help but look solemn. At this time, Lu Zifan took out a sword manual. The cover of the sword manual was made of something unknown, like iron or gold, with sword energy flowing on it. To open this sword manual, you must break the sword energy on it, but I can't break it, no matter how I try. Lu Zifan shook his head. Jianlin took it, with a serious look on his face, and gathered the sword energy in his palm, trying to break the sword energy on the cover of the sword manual, but as soon as his palm was pressed on it, it was shaken open. Chapter 522, Disciples of Tangshan Sect. Jianlin was surprised. Although he expected that the sword manual would be difficult to open, he did not expect that his palm would be shaken away as soon as he put it on, and he could not stay on it for a moment. He used the sword energy again, trying to break the sword energy on the cover of the sword manual, but it was still the same as before, and it was shaken away almost as soon as it touched the cover. The power of the sword energy on the cover was beyond his imagination. Jianlin tried several times, but it was still the same. In the end, Jianlin had to give up. He shook his head at Lu Zifan and said, "I can't do anything about Lord Shenmeng's sword manual." Lu Zifan had originally held a glimmer of hope, but he couldn't help but feel disappointed when he heard it. At this moment, Yang Xiaoshan suddenly said, "Let me try." Everyone was stunned. Lu Yutang smiled at Yang Xiaoshan and said, "Young Master Yang, this sword manual was left by Lord Shenmeng. Lord Shenmeng is invincible in swordsmanship. Our ancestors have tried hundreds of methods and invited hundreds of sword masters, but they still can't open it. The implication is that even their Lu family ancestors and hundreds of sword masters can't open it, so how can Yang Xiaoshan open it?" Lu Zifan smiled and said, "It's okay, let Brother Yang try, maybe Brother Yang can open it." Having said that, he handed the sword manual to Yang Xiaoshan. After all, Yang Xiaoshan was brought by Jianlin. Since Yang Xiaoshan asked, it's okay to let Yang Xiaoshan try. However, he didn't have much hope. Yang Xiaoshan took the sword manual, his face was calm, and his palm was placed on it as usual. Just when everyone thought that Yang Xiaoshan's palm would be shaken open by the sword energy on the cover of the sword manual, they saw that the sword energy on the cover of the sword manual actually faded like a tide. Finally, it disappeared without a trace. The sword energy that was originally flowing on the cover was gone. Lu Zifan, who had not paid attention to it, was dumbfounded. Lu Yutang also had an incredible look on his face. Even Jianlin was shocked. He had tried repeatedly just now, but he knew very well the terrifying power of the sword energy on the cover of the sword manual. Even he, the sword god of the south sky, could not break it. But when Yang Xiaoshan put his palm on it, the sword energy disappeared. This is impossible. Lu Yutang's eyes widened. The sword manual that hundreds of supreme sword masters in the Wanjian continent could not open was opened by the young man in front of him. After Lu Zifan was surprised and shocked, he excitedly took the sword manual. But what surprised him was that when he took the sword manual, he saw the sword energy that had faded on the sword manual reappear. As soon as Lu Zifan put his palm on it, he was shaken away again. Everyone was even more dumbfounded. Lu Zifan could not help but hand the sword manual to Yang Xiaoshan again. When Yang Xiaoshan put his palm on the sword manual, the sword energy on it faded again as before. Lu Zifan clasped his fists and said sincerely, "Brother Yang, I wonder how you broke the sword energy on it. Please teach me." Jianlin was also puzzled. He couldn't see how Yang Xiaoshan broke the sword energy on it. Yang Xiaoshan put his palm on it as usual. He didn't circulate his true essence or any sword energy. "I don't know how it was broken." Yang Xiaoshan shook his head and said, "I just put my palm on it as usual, and it disappeared automatically." He couldn't say that I could open it, because I have 15 invincible sword hearts. Lu Zifan smiled bitterly, and clasped his fists and said, "In this case, please help me open the sword manual page by page, and my Lu family will definitely reward you handsomely." The Lu family rewarded handsomely, but Yang Xiaoshan didn't take it to heart. However, he was also curious about the sword manual left by the Lord of Divine Dreams, so he opened the first page. The Lord of Divine Dreams was a powerful person of the same period as his master, Lord Hanfeng. He was famous in the Wanjian continent. Divine sword art. On the first page, the word divine sword art were written. Seeing the word divine sword art, Lucifer and Jianlin were both trembling in their hearts. Especially Lucifer, he was even more excited. He didn't expect that this sword manual was the divine sword art. The divine sword art was a very powerful sword technique in ancient times. Then, Yang Xiaoshan opened the second page. The second page was the first move of the divine dream sword art. Then, Yang Xiaoshan flipped through the pages one by one. Lucifer, Jianlin and others held their breath and watched with all their heart. After a while, Yang Xiaoshan turned to the last page of the sword manual. Although he only read it once, Yang Xiaoshan had completely memorized all the moves in the sword manual and integrated them. However, Yang Xiaoshan still flipped through it 3 times. Lucifer was still not satisfied. Then, he gave Yang Xiaoshan a large number of low-grade spirit stones and a large number of spiritual medicines as a thank you, and kindly invited Yang Xiaoshan to stay at the Lu family for a few more days. However, Yang Xiaoshan left with Jianlin on the same day. After leaving the Lu family, Yang Xiaoshan and Jianlin practiced swordsmanship for a few days, then said goodbye and left, saying that he wanted to take a walk. On this day, when Yang Xiaoshan was on his way, he saw a large group of masters walking forward. Young Emperor Khan actually challenged the leader of the Poison Shadow sect. Young Emperor Khan is one of the 9 young emperors of Kangshao, and the leader of the Poison Shadow sect is a peak emperor. I don't know who will win or lose. The founder of the Poison Shadow sect was said to be a disciple of the Huanquan demon sect. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm afraid it's true. The Poison Shadow divine art of the Poison Shadow sect is the art of the Huanquan demon sect. Listening to the discussion of these masters, Yang Xiaoshan's heart moved. A disciple of the Huanquan demon sect? He paused for a moment and followed them. Not far away, he followed the group of masters to a certain mountain peak. He saw that there were already many masters standing around the mountain peak, and they were obviously here to watch the battle. On the top of the mountain, Emperor Khan looked coldly at Li Le, the leader of the Poison Shadow sect. Li Le, you, the Poison Shadow sect, have killed tens of thousands of disciples of the Silver Moon sect, and even spared women and children. Your methods are extremely cruel. Today, I will eliminate the harm for the Wanjian continent. I will kill you first, and then destroy the Poison Shadow sect. Li Le smiled coldly. It sounds good, but which eye of yours saw that we destroyed the Silver Moon sect? The Silver Moon sect was destroyed by your Tangshan divine sect. You, the Tangshan divine sect, are the cancer of the Wanjian continent. You want to rule the Wanjian continent, full of benevolence and morality, and use all kinds of excuses and banners to kill the sects and families that do not submit. Yang Xiaoshan was surprised. The Tangshan divine sect. Emperor Khan is a disciple of the Tangshan divine sect? When Emperor Khan Yuan heard this, he shouted angrily, "Shut up." He drew his sword in an instant, floated up, and swung the sword at Li Le. The two fought. At the beginning, the two were evenly matched, but as time went on, Li Le gradually lost the upper hand. After several more moves, Li Le was stabbed in the chest by Khan Yuan's sword, and was knocked out. Li Le's mouth was bleeding. He turned around and fled regardless of his injuries, but Khan Yuan caught up with him in an instant and stabbed Li Le in the back with a sword, knocking Li Le into the crowd. Everyone was afraid of being caught in the crossfire and dodged in panic. Li Le fled and rushed towards Yang Xiaoshan. Khan Yuan's eyes were full of murderous intent, and he stabbed Li Le's chest with all his strength, but the power of this sword also enveloped Yang Xiaoshan. Chapter 523 Successor of Huanquan Patriarch? Khan Yuan's sword was about to pierce Li Le's chest. If it pierced Li Le's chest, it would definitely hit Yang Xiaoshan, who was standing there. Just when everyone thought that Khan Yuan's sword would pierce Li Le's heart and Li Le would die, Khan Yuan's sword suddenly stopped in midair. Everyone was stunned. They saw that Khan Yuan's sword was clamped there by 2 fingers at some point. Khan Yuan and Li Le looked at Yang Xiaoshan and were both stunned. Especially Khan Yuan, when he saw that the person who clamped his sword was actually a teenager of 16 or 17 years old. He was even more surprised. Who is he? He is one of the 9 young emperors of Kangshao. Not to mention the younger generation. Even the older generation masters like Li Le are not his opponents. Just now, he used all his strength to strike with a sword, but was actually clamped by a teenager. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Kyan Yuan's face was a little embarrassed. His face sank, and he used all his strength to activate his true energy, and the sword in his hand burst out with amazing sword energy. "Withdraw your hand," he shouted. He thought that his sword would definitely shake the teenager away, but he was surprised to find that his sword was still motionless. Seeing this, the surrounding warriors were shocked. Hearing the shouts of the crowd, Kyan Yuan became even more angry and activated the Sea of Shensenalan. The sword in his hand made a buzzing sound. However, at this time, Yang Xiaoshan flicked his finger and flicked the sword in Kyan Yuan's hand. Kyan Yuan was shocked and retreated continuously. He retreated dozens of meters. Everyone was shocked. Who is this boy? So strong. Just when everyone was surprised, Li Le saw the ring on Yang Xiaoshan's finger, but his face changed drastically, and then he was very excited. Yellow spring ring. As soon as Li Le said this, everyone was shocked and looked at the yellow spring ring in Yang Xiaoshan's hand. Yellow spring ring. It seems to be the yellow spring ring of the Yellow Spring Demon sect. The Yellow Spring Ring is born. Is this boy the descendant of the Yellow Spring Patriarch? Everyone at the scene changed their faces. In ancient times, Huangquan Patriarch was not only famous in Kangshan continent, but also in Wanjian continent. Huangquan Patriarch was synonymous with supreme terror in Wanjian continent. After Kyan Yuan was shocked and retreated, he was angry. Suddenly, he heard everyone shouting Huangquan ring. He was shocked and looked at the Huangquan ring in Yang Xiaoshan's hand. His face immediately turned cold. No wonder. It turned out to be the remnant of Huangquan Demon sect. The remnants of Huangquan Demon sect. Everyone can kill them. Today, I will enforce justice on behalf of heaven and kill you, the remnant of Huangquan Demon sect. When he said this, he urged his whole body's true energy, and the light shot up into the sky. A huge destiny flew out of his body. Seventh destiny. Everyone was shocked when they saw Kyan Yuan's destiny. Being able to condense destiny is already an incomparable monster for many warriors. Not to mention the sevenfold destiny. The sevenfold destiny is extremely rare even in Wanjian continent. Then, one destiny after another flew out of Kyan Yuan's body. There are 7 destinies in total, and all of them are sevenfold. Kyan Yuan's sevenfold destinies are shining with layers of light, and the amazing power is shrouding everyone. Kill. He rushed towards Yang Xiaoshan with a sword. Under the power of the sevenfold destinies, the sword energy of his long sword burst out, which is more than 10 times stronger than before. He used the Holy King sword technique of Tangshan divine religion. With one sword, the Holy King appeared. In the amazing sword energy, there was a shadow of a Holy King. Moreover, Kyan Yuan's Holy King sword technique has reached the pinnacle. With one sword, all of Yang Xiaoshan's retreat routes were blocked. Looking at Kyan Yuan, who was killing with murderous intent in his eyes, and coming with a sword, Yang Xiaoshan used his finger instead of a sword and struck out with one finger. Suddenly, a sharp sword energy was like a long rainbow, instantly cutting off the opponent's Holy King sword energy. Kyan Yuan looked at the sharp sword energy coming at him, and his face changed. However, he had no time to dodge, and was hit by the sword energy. He was thrown backwards like a broken leaf, and hit the opposite mountain peak fiercely. There was a huge bang. Rocks rolled down. Kyan Yuan vomited blood. Everyone was shocked, and saw that Kyan Yuan's chest armor had been cut open, and blood was pouring out of his chest. If it was a little deeper, it might cut Kyan Yuan's chest. Everyone took a breath of cold air. Kyan Yuan, one of the 9 young emperors of Kangshao, who had sevenfold destiny, was so vulnerable. The strength of this descendant of Huangquan Patriarch was far beyond everyone's imagination. Kyan Yuan also looked at Yang Xiaoshan in fear. Since you are a disciple of Tangshan divine religion, I will spare your life today. If there is a next time, you will die. Yang Xiaoshan looked at him coldly. Kyan Yuan's face turned green and red. Yang Xiaoshan left gracefully. Wherever he passed, everyone was terrified and dodged. Seeing this, Li Le woke up and hurriedly followed. Kyan Yuan looked at Yang Xiaoshan's departing figure, his eyes full of murderous intent. He was the 9th young emperor, and there were few rivals among the younger generation. How could he have been defeated so miserably? The masters at the scene were furious. Yang Xiaoshan left a long way, and seeing Li Le still following him, his face darkened. Why are you following me? Lila was so scared that he knelt down directly and said excitedly and panickedly, "I kowtow to the master. I dare not. I'm not your master." Yang Xiaoshan frowned and said, and then continued to fly forward. But after Yang Xiaoshan was far away, Lila stood up again, still following behind Yang Xiaoshan timidly. Obviously, he had already determined that Yang Xiaoshan was the master of Huanquan demon sect. Seeing that Lila was still following him, Yang Xiaoshan turned around and frightenedly let her kneel down again. He said in panic, "Master, please let us follow you and revive the ancient glory of our Huanquan demon sect." At this point, he kept kowtowing until his head was broken and bleeding, but he just didn't get up. Yang Xiaoshan stood there, and Lila was still kowtowing. After a while, Yang Xiaoshan walked away, leaving Zhu Yun, and then said, "Follow me." When Yang Xiaoshan's voice floated over, Lila was stunned, trembling with excitement. "Yes, master." He quickly followed. "Do you know Tangshan divine religion?" Yang Xiaoshan suddenly asked. Lila was startled, and quickly told Yang Xiaoshan everything he knew about Tangshan divine religion. However, when he mentioned that Kan Yuan's master Zhao Rong became the leader of Tangshan sect, Yang Xiaoshan was surprised and said, "What did you say? Leader of Tangshan sect?" Lila was a little surprised to see Yang Xiaoshan's reaction, and said truthfully, "Yes, Lord Hangfeng has been missing for many years, and Tangshan sect has not had anyone in charge for thousands of years, which has caused internal strife in Tangshan sect. Therefore, half a year ago, Tangshan sect selected an acting leader." "Acting leader?" Yang Xiaoshan asked. "Yes, since Zhao Rong does not have the Tangshan divine sword, he is only the acting leader." Lila said, "Only when he finds the Tangshan divine sword and subdues it, can he become the real leader of Tangshan sect. Or if someone gets the Tangshan divine sword and subdues it, Zhao Rong must abdicate." "Tell me about Zhao Rong," Yang Xiaoshan said in a deep voice. "Zhao Rong is very powerful, and is now the top master of Tangshan sect." Lila said, "He has cultivated 14 kinds of sword intent." Chapter 524 Zhao Rong covers the sky with one hand. The best master of Tangshan divine sect has cultivated 14 kinds of sword intent. Even Yang Xiaoshan was surprised. This Zhao Rong is so strong. You know, even the sword god Zilong of Kangshan Mansion has only cultivated 12 kinds of sword intent. The Beihua sword god of Beihua divine sect has only cultivated 11 kinds of sword intent. I heard that it is so, Lila said with a serious face, but some people speculate that Zhao Rong has hidden his strength and may have cultivated 15 kinds of sword intent. Yang Xiaoshan was stunned. 15 kinds of sword intent. Yes. Lila nodded and said, 15 kinds of sword intent. Some people once said that Zhao Rong's talent in swordsmanship is second only to Lord Hangfeng. Second only to Master Hangfeng? Yang Xiaoshan frowned. Rumor has it that Lord Hangfeng intended to pass the position of leader to Zhao Rong, but for some unknown reason, Lord Hangfeng did not pass the position of leader of Tangshan sect to Zhao Rong. Lila said, however, Lord Hangfeng was right not to pass the position of leader to Zhao Rong. What do you mean? Yang Xiaoshan said, Zhao Rong is a very ambitious person. Although he has only been the acting leader for half a year, he has been recruiting masters everywhere and wants to unify the Wanjian continent. Lila said, moreover, he is cruel. For those sects and families that do not submit, they are wiped out overnight. Just like the Silver Moon sect, which refused to submit, the Tangshan divine sect wiped out the entire sect. Even the women, and children were not spared. After they destroyed the Silver Moon sect, they saw that my Poison Shadow sect refused to submit, so they put the blame on my Poison Shadow sect, saying that it was my Poison Shadow sect that destroyed the Silver Moon sect. Yang Xiaoshan's face sank. Are the other masters of the Tangshan divine sect just sitting there and watching? Lila shook his head. Before Zhao Rong became the acting leader, he already had a very high status and prestige in the Tangshan divine sect. Many strong men in the sect supported him, and even the Sun and Moon Saint King was his right-hand man. Now that he has become the acting leader, his words are law. Who dares to criticize him? In the future, even if someone gets the Tangshan sword and subdues it, it is likely that it will be difficult for them to take charge of the Tangshan sect. Because Zhao Rang's prestige in the sect is too high, he is so powerful that everyone in the Tangshan sect only obeys him. Yang Xiaoshan frowned. This is exactly what he was worried about. Even if he gets the Tangshan sword and subdues it, it is still difficult for him to subdue and take charge of the Tangshan sect. Moreover, he is only in the Emperor realm now, and even if he shows the Tangshan sword, it is still difficult to convince everyone. The Tangshan sect is full of masters, and there are even many sword god masters. How could these sword god masters obey an Emperor realm master? If he shows the Tangshan sword, I'm afraid that Zhao Rang will be the first to kill him, and then snatch the Tangshan sword. If Zhao Rang cultivates the 15 sword intentions, his strength is probably not weaker than the Lord of the Abyss. Even if Lord Ding takes action, it is difficult to deal with him. Moreover, he does not have 100 mouthfuls of 9-layer heaven tribulation thunder water on him now. A few days ago, a lot of 9 heaven tribulation thunder water was used up in bombarding the son of Hade's god, Yanping, the immortal god of death, and Emperor Yunshan. Yang Xiaoshan asked a lot more about Zhao Rang and Tangshan divine religion. The more he listened, the less optimistic he became. Originally, Tangshan divine religion was divided into 3 forces. The largest one was Zhao Rang, the other was led by his senior brother King Lian Sword God, and the other was a group of guardians and elders of Tangshan divine religion. Now, Zhao Rang is the leader of the previous generation, and all the elders and guardians of the entire Tangshan divine religion obey his orders. The two walked and talked. Unknowingly, the sky was dark. Is your poison shadow sect far from here? Yang Xiaoshan asked. Li Le was stunned, and then said happily, not far sect master, we will go over this mountain, and it will not be far. Pointing to the mountain in front. Yang Xiaoshan and the others flew over the mountain in front, but it took about half an hour to fly. Is this the not far that Li Le mentioned? When Li Le returned, hundreds of thousands of disciples of the Poison Shadow sect cheered. All the masters of the Poison Shadow sect came to greet Yang Xiaoshan excitedly, and called him the sect master. It seems that Yang Xiaoshan, the sect master of the Yellow Spring Demon sect, can't be pushed away. Originally, Yang Xiaoshan came to the Wanjian continent to take charge of the Tangshan divine sect, but now he has become the sect master of the Yellow Spring Demon sect. However, in ancient times, although the Yellow Spring Demon sect had been destroyed, the remaining power was still strong. According to Li Le, many super demons in the Wanjian continent are descendants of the Yellow Spring Demon sect. For example, the Titan Troll. Another example is the White Bone Sword God, who ranks 49th on the Sword God list. Even the ancestors of the Supreme Demon Yin Yang Demon were from the Yellow Spring Demon sect. If Yang Xiaoshan can gather these people, it will be a very powerful force. At night, Yang Xiaoshan stood in the palace arranged by Li Le, but he was thinking about the Tangshan divine sect. Zhao Rang's taking charge of the Tangshan divine sect put him under great pressure. He had to condense the 15th Hunyuan destiny as soon as possible and cultivate into the Hunyuan destiny divine body. Therefore, when the Temple of Destiny opens, he must find the destiny tree and the destiny fruit. Only in this way can he quickly break through to the peak of the 10th level of the Emperor realm, condense the 15 mixed destiny, and cultivate the destiny body. As for summoning those super demons from the Huanquan demon sect, he can forget about it. The surrender of the Poison Shadow sect does not mean that those super demons will recognize him as the leader of the Huanquan demon sect. If those super demons knew that he had the Huanquan ring, they might come to kill him and snatch the Huanquan ring. Yang Xiaoshan cut off all thoughts, calmed his mind, swallowed another Cheyenne deep pill, and continued to practice. In the following days, Yang Xiaoshan practiced the dragon art and Huanquan divine art, practiced various swordsmanship, and read various notes and secrets of Huanquan patriarch in the Poison Shadow sect. Originally, Yang Xiaoshan was worried that Emperor Khan would lead the masters of Tangshan divine sect to come for revenge, but after many days, Emperor Khan was nowhere to be seen. This made Yang Xiaoshan practice with peace of mind. At the same time, Yang Xiaoshan asked Li Le to help him find out the whereabouts of the divine fire, divine pill and the 9-layer heavenly tribulation thunder water. Li Le was stunned for a long time when Yang Xiaoshan asked him to find out the whereabouts of the divine fire, divine pill and the 9-layer heavenly tribulation thunder water. Just try your best to find out. Yang Xiaoshan said. In addition, I will be in seclusion these days to practice. Come and call me the day before the opening of the Temple of Destiny. Master, do you want to enter the Temple of Destiny? Li Le was surprised and said, the Temple of Destiny is extremely dangerous, and maybe Zhao Rong and the Masters of Tangshan Divine Sect will go there. Will Zhao Rong go there too? Yang Xiaoshan nodded. I know, just come and call me when the time comes. Li Le saw that he couldn't persuade Yang Xiaoshan, so he could only agree helplessly. More than a month passed in the blink of an eye. There was only one day left before the opening of the Temple of Destiny, and Li Le came to call Yang Xiaoshan. Master, let's go with you. Li Le was still worried. No need, you can just wait for me at the sect. Yang Xiaoshan shook his head, and then he broke through the air, and flew to the Destiny Island at a high speed. Chapter 525 Sun and Moon Holy King. The opening of the Temple of Destiny is the most grand event in the Wanjian continent. Therefore, when Yang Xiaoshan flew to the Destiny Island at a high speed, the powerful people from countless sects and families in the Wanjian continent also rushed to the Destiny Island at a high speed. And almost all of them were from super sects and super families in the Wanjian continent. When passing through Yunsheng, Yang Xiaoshan met Jianlin, the sword god of the south sky. Jianlin was surprised to see Yang Xiaoshan. Brother Yang. Brother Jian. Yang Xiaoshan smiled and clasped his fists. Although the two have not known each other for a long time, after a few days of swordsmanship, they all admired each other and regretted meeting each other too late. Brother Yang, didn't you follow your family elders to the Temple of Destiny? Jianlin was surprised and saw Yang Xiaoshan alone, so he couldn't help asking. Yang Xiaoshan shook his head and smiled. No, I'm alone. You alone? Jianlin frowned. This Temple of Destiny is too dangerous. Although Yang Xiaoshan's swordsmanship is high, he is only at the Emperor realm. In Jianlin's opinion, it is too dangerous to enter the Temple of Destiny alone. It's okay. I won't go to some dangerous forbidden areas in the Temple of Destiny. Yang Xiaoshan said with a smile. Jianlin nodded. The two chatted while flying towards the Island of Destiny. Soon, they saw the Island of Destiny. The Island of Destiny was suspended above the boundless sea. Under the sunlight, the green light was charming and beautiful. However, the restrictions covering the island had not yet dissipated. At this time, the sun had just risen, and there was still half an hour before the restrictions on the Island of Destiny were broken. However, the sky above the sea around the island was already filled with countless strong men. At a glance, it was full of people, a dark mass that almost covered the sky. The number of people was beyond imagination. If not tens of millions, there were millions. Almost all the super sects and super families in the Wanjian continent came. It seems that everyone wants to find the God of Destiny Stone, the God of Destiny Tree and the God of Destiny Fruit. Yang Xiaoshan scanned the dark crowd. With so many people, it would be difficult to find the immortal death god and the ancient heart demon. And the two should have changed their appearance, so it would be even more difficult to find them. The Sun and Moon Holy King is here. Suddenly, someone excitedly said. As soon as the words came out, the crowd was in a commotion. Even Jianlin looked over. In the distance, a large number of Tangshan divine religion masters flew over. There were a lot of people, as many as 700 or 800. The leader was a man wearing a white battle robe, almost white from head to toe. Even his eyebrows were white. The Sun and Moon Holy King. Zhao Rong's right-hand man and military advisor. He is almost second to one person in the Tangshan divine religion, and above hundreds of millions of strong men. This time Zhao Rong did not come, but the Sun and Moon Holy King led a group of strong men from the Tangshan divine religion. Behind the Sun and Moon Holy King were two middle-aged men in battle robes, and their sword energy was vast, like an endless sea. Yang Xiaoshan's eyes condensed. These two people should be the Xing sword god and Zhuangkang sword god on the sword god list. Zhao Rong has 6 great sword gods under his command, and these two are the second. This time, the Temple of Destiny was opened. Not only did the Sun and Moon Saint King come, but also the 2 great sword gods came. It can be seen that the Tangshan divine religion attaches great importance to the opening of the Temple of Destiny. Yang Xiaoshan saw Qian Yuan, the young Emperor Qian who was defeated by him a few days ago. He also came and followed at the end of the Tangshan divine religion. Although Kai Nguyen was the most dazzling existence among the younger generation in Kangshao, he could only follow at the end in front of the Tangshan divine religion. Seeing the arrival of the Tangshan divine religion, many family ancestors and sect masters bowed to show their respect. Although Lord Han Feng had been away for many years, the Tangshan divine religion has always been the first sect in the Wanjian continent. I didn't expect Zhao Ran didn't come. Jian Lin said, it seems that the rumors are true. Rumors? Yang Xiaoshan couldn't help asking. Recent rumors say that Zhao Rong is in seclusion to comprehend the 15th sword intent and will not come to the Temple of Destiny. Jian Lin said, so, Zhao Ran didn't come. He should be in seclusion to impact the 15th sword intent, and there is hope that he will succeed. Otherwise, it is impossible for him not to come to such an important event as the opening of the Temple of Destiny. As time passed, more and more strong men arrived. The sea area around the Destiny Island was even more crowded. Jian Lin hesitated for a moment and said to Yang Xiaoshan, Brother Yang, I will enter the Destiny Temple to find something extremely important to me, so I can't go with you at that time. You must be extremely careful. If you have any difficulties, you can tell me my name. Some sects and families will give me face and won't embarrass you. At this point, he took out a token and gave it to Yang Xiaoshan. On the token, the word Nanshan was written. Yang Xiaoshan felt warm in his heart, took the token, and smiled. Okay, thank you, Brother Jian. It's just a small matter, why be polite? Jian Lin smiled. After a while, the restriction above the Destiny Island suddenly flashed. This is a sign that the restriction is about to be opened. Everyone fell silent. When the restriction above the Destiny Island suddenly faded, countless strong men rushed into the Destiny Island like a tide. But then screams rang out. When some super sects or strong men rushed in, conflicts arose and they began to fight. Those with weaker strength were killed before they even stepped into the Destiny Island. Corpses fell from the sky one after another. Jian Lin took Yang Xiaoshan to the Destiny Island. When an old ancestor of a sect saw that Yang Xiaoshan was alone with two people, he was about to use a killing move on the two. Suddenly, he saw Jian Lin's appearance and was so scared that he almost fell from the sky. The strong men around also quickly retreated and bowed to Jian Lin. There are billions of strong men in the Wanjian continent. Those who can be on the sword god list are all terrifying and invincible. What's more, Jian Lin is an extremely supreme existence ranked very high in the sword god list. Even though these people are all strong men from major super sects, they dare not fart in front of the South Sky Sword God. Therefore, Yang Xiaoshan and the others entered the Destiny Island without any danger. Inside the God Island, there are towering ancient trees and continuous mountains. In the center of the God Island, there is an extremely huge temple, which is the Temple of Destiny. The Temple of Destiny is very large. Yang Xiaoshan estimated that it is as big as the Kangshen Mansion, and it occupies almost half of the area of the God Island. The two came to the Temple of Destiny. At this time, the gate of the temple, which is wider than the city gate, has been opened, and the strong men of Tangshan Shinjiao are pouring in. Jian Lin also took Yang Xiaoshan into the temple. Once he entered the temple, he saw that there was another world inside the temple, like a small world, with spiritual springs and waterfalls, countless peaks, hundreds of millions of palaces, and abundant spiritual energy, comparable to the Star God Island of Emperor Yunshan. Brother Yang, we will separate here, you have to be careful. Jian Lin instructed, then turned into a sword light, and disappeared into the mountains. Yang Xiaoshan identified the direction, and flew to the southern mountains. No one knows where the Destiny Tree is in the Temple of Destiny, so he plans to take the Destiny Stone first. As long as he finds 10 more Destiny Stones, he can carry the 10th Union Destiny. And there is a Destiny Mountain in the southern mountains, with Destiny Stones. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.